Chapter 4:15. Little Bad, you must listen to Grandpa and Grandma. Don't be naughty. Your parents have gone to a faraway place, but Annie will be with you. You can tell Auntie if you have any problems. Little Bad, you must remember that you can't be too kind. If someone hits you, you must hit them back. You must learn to protect yourself when Mom and Dad are not with you. If Annie is not with you one day, you must become a man and accompany Grandpa and Grandma well. Little Bad, I really hope you can grow up quickly so that you can protect Annie. I will leave in a few days. Remember, you are a man. You can't cry. Also, you can't be bullied by others. Your name is Guopai, son of Guotion. No one in Huaxia can bully you. No one in the world can bully you. Little Bad, goodbye. I hope we can meet again one day. Guopai lay in bed and couldn't sleep for a long time. Guopai's memories of Guofanyu flashed in his mind one by one like a movie. Celia, Guofanyu, Guopai, mind-reading sage. Yes, I'm Guopai now. I want to save my Annie. No one can interfere with this. Guopai stood up and walked out of the door. He glanced at the resting area of the American Special Ability Group. The battle the day after tomorrow, only for Annie. The next day, Davis had already told the other special ability users that their competition was over and they could leave. However, none of them left. The competition between the Anglo-American Special Ability Group and Huaxia would start in one day. How could they leave today? Could it be that they didn't want to watch the live broadcast at home and spend money to watch the live broadcast at home? Guopai was very calm the next day, so calm that many people couldn't accept it. Chusov wanted to discuss with Guopai about following Huaxia back to Huaxia, but he was stopped by Little Ling and Mo. He told him not to disturb his brother for the next 2 days. Other special ability users who wanted to befriend Huaxia were also handed over to Zhozhan. Bad guy, why don't you let the Eam brothers fight tomorrow? Let me fight. At least we can take care of each other, the little girl said softly after dinner. Lass, it's fine as long as you don't cause trouble for me. You don't have to worry about tomorrow's matters. No matter what happens, you can't be impulsive. Stay under the arena obediently. Tomorrow's battle isn't as simple as you think it is, Guopao said softly. Little Ling Mo nodded, as if he understood. On the morning of the third day, Guopai walked out of the lounge. After a night of rest, Guopai exuded a completely different temperament from head to toe, which made many people look at Guopai differently. Brother Zhou, for today's battle, I'll leave the 5 members of the Anglo-American Special Ability Group to you. I'll leave Celia to you, Guopai said softly to Zhozhan and the others. Zhozhan nodded and involuntarily followed Guopai out of the lounge. Een Thunder and Een Flash revealed an extremely imperceptible smile. At this time, the members of the Anglo-American Special Ability Group also came out. Today is the last competition of the Special Ability Martial Arts competition. Whoever wins will be the champion of the team competition. All unrelated personnel are not allowed to get close to the ring. Otherwise, the organizing committee will not be responsible for any problems. Davis said loudly. The group of special ability users waved their hands indifferently. Only fools would participate in the competition between 2 super strong teams. Enter the ring, Celia said softly. The 6 members of the Anglo-American Special Ability Group had already entered the ring. This time, the ring was larger than that of the semifinals. The Anglo-American Special Ability Group stood in a circle on the east side. Let's go. The Anglo-American Special Ability Group is not weak. Don't be careless, Guopai said, and a strange force sent the 5 people to the ring. I've seen the video of your competition. You're very strong. I don't want to be your enemy. Just admit defeat. Celia looked at Guopai and said, every time she saw Guopai, she had the same feeling of wanting to kill him. How was it possible? Celia did not know why, but she simply could not bring herself to kill Guopai. If you know who you are and who I am, maybe there is no need for this competition at all. However, I think there are many things that you can't decide now. Make your move. A trace of Guo Pao's divine sense fell on Celia's body. He finally understood why his aunt was like this. Touching the dragon's reverse scale would incur the wrath of a dragon. Guo Pao looked very calm on the surface, but he was furious in his heart. The enslavement technique of the great demon actually fell on his aunt. Yes, There was a very small change in the depths of Guofanyu's brain. Others might not know, but Guopai was very clear about it. Wasn't that the enslavement technique? Guopai did not dare to act rashly because he knew that if the person who enslaved Guofanyu found him, Guofanyu would definitely die. Guopai needed time and opportunity to break the enslavement technique. Let's begin. I think we might really know each other, Celia said. She was completely different from before. A terrible pressure erupted from Celia's body. The 5 of you will deal with the other members of the Anglo-American Special Ability Group. Leave Celia to me. After saying that, Guopai flew directly into the air. Celia jumped and arrived in front of Guopai. Let's do it. Leave Harris to me. You guys find your own opponents, Zhou Zhan said loudly. However, before his voice died away, Zhou Zhan felt a burning pain on his back. He turned his head and saw that the weapons in the hands of the Yin brothers had hit him directly. Yin Thunder, Yin Flash, what are you doing? Peng Gang roared and directly blocked in front of Zhou Zhan, helping Zhou Zhan block the blade. Harris, hurry up and do it. The bishop has said that we must win the first place in the team competition. Otherwise, we will all die. Yin Lei said loudly to Harris. The 5 paranormals of the Anglo-American Special Ability Group rushed toward Huaxia. Gang Z, don't hold back. Kill them, Zhou Zhan said with a gloomy face. Yin Lei, Yin Shan, no wonder he felt that something was wrong. It turned out that this was the feeling of being betrayed by one's own people. Around 3 minutes later, Zhou Zhan, Peng Gang, and Feng Rue formed a triangle with their backs against each other. They were able to fend off the fierce attacks of the 5 members of the Anglo-American Alliance and the 2 members of the Yin family. However, the Yin brothers had successfully ambushed Zhou Zhan at the beginning, injuring him quite heavily. No, I have to save Zhou Zhan, Yi Peng shouted loudly, but was stopped by Ling Mo. You can't go because you can't save them. Look over there. Ling Mo pointed to a hidden place in the distance. 4 guys with laser guns were aiming at the surroundings of the ring. If Yi Peng dared to go near the ring, he would die without a doubt. Yin Lei, Yin Shan, I hope you can walk out of the ring alive. I will kill you, Yi Peng shouted loudly. The veins on Yin Lai's hand also bulged. He really didn't expect that he would be betrayed by his own people. If you want to save your people, you have to win against me. However, it is impossible for you to win against me. Celia looked at Guopai and said. Guopai naturally knew the situation on the ring. The Yin brothers had betrayed him. How do you know if you don't try? Moreover, it is not certain if the last 7 people can win against Zhou Zhan and the other 2. After Guopai finished speaking, he walked towards Celia very slowly. However, Celia acted as if she was facing a great enemy. A long whip appeared in her hand. I have to get close to my aunt. Otherwise, the person who controls the gate of slavery will definitely discover my existence. At that time, not only will I not be able to save my aunt, I will also harm her. Guopai secretly thought in his heart. He had no choice but to use his body to block Celia's attack. Why is it so chaotic in the ring? Why are 2 Huaxia people who have never fought before attacking each other? Not only were the metahumans watching the fight below the ring, but even the people watching the live broadcast were asking the same question in their minds. Yin family. The Yin brothers have betrayed the country. Xingtian, contact Xianyuan Xiongfeng. Not a single person from the Yin family can escape. On Mount Tyrannosaurus, Xiao Wudi stared at the screen and shouted. Betrayal. What Xiao Wudi hated the most in his life was such people. Chapter 416. After about 3 minutes, Celia put away her whip and whispered to Guopai, if you just keep dodging, then I can't guarantee that you can walk out of the arena alive. Let's continue. Guopai whispered. He didn't dare to act rashly. Gate of slavery. Guopai was sure that Celia had planted a gate of slavery in her body. Moreover, it was the most powerful gate of slavery. The controller could easily kill the enslaved person. Zhou Zhan and the other 2 had received varying degrees of minor injuries under the attacks of the 7 people. But for a while, the 7 people couldn't do anything to them. Bang! Guopai and Celia separated again. Celia looked at Guopai. She didn't know why the boy in front of her kept dodging, but didn't kill her. But this time, Guopai's eyes widened. There was something wrong with Celia. It wasn't just the gate of slavery, there was also the aura of someone else on her body. It wasn't the person who controlled the gate of slavery. Again, saying so, Guo flew toward Celia. This time, a few silver needles appeared in his hand. Guo situation was much more complicated than he had imagined, but this sudden appearance of her aura made it much easier to resolve the situation. Little Yu, I don't know which great immortal's inheritance you obtained, but Master Shui Yunzi is right. After the second collision, a voice sounded in Guo Pai's mind. It was Master Shui Yunzi. Guo Pai's eyes widened. He had heard of Master Shui Yunzi before. He was an old monster who had cultivated for who knows how many years. During the war between the three races, this old monster didn't help anyone. How could he leave his divine sense on his aunt? Boy, what did you do to my body? Celia looked at the 3 silver needles on her body and asked loudly. Since you want to die, I'll send you on your way. Celia said, and a long sword appeared in her hand. It was that damned angel's sword. Compared to Raphael's sword, it was much more imposing. Guo Shui narrowed his eyes. It seems like his aunt's status in the dark church wasn't low. Little Yu, since you're so hesitant to attack, you must be afraid of the gate of servitude on this young lady. How about we make a deal? I'll help you trick the gate of servitude, and if you can control this young lady, you'll release my true body. How about it? Watercloud's voice once again rang out in Guo Pai's mind. True body? How is that possible? That almighty being was actually sealed in my aunt's body? What kind of sealing technique is this? Let's not even talk about sealing Shui Yunzi. Guo Fanyu's body shouldn't be able to form some kind of heaven-shaking formation. Guo Pai was in a complete mess. If Shui Yunzi's true body was really in Guo Fanyu's body, then what exactly Guo Fanyu had experienced would have to wait until the gate of servitude was dealt with. Little Yu, don't you trust Shui Yunzi? This gate of servitude isn't an ordinary gate of servitude. It belongs to the great demon. With your current strength, it's impossible to break this gate of servitude. You can only cooperate with me. You have no other choice. Shui Yunzi's voice rang out again. Senior, since it's a cooperation, shouldn't Senior show some sincerity first? Guo Pai barely dodged Celia's attack and spoke to Shui Yunzi for the first time. I see that your needle technique seems to have some skill. After 10 breaths, find a way to control this girl's body and leave the gate of servitude to me. As for sincerity, as long as you use the needles, you'll know my sincerity. After Shui Yunzi finished speaking, Guo Pai narrowed his eyes. He truly had no other choice. 5 breaths later, Guo Pai rushed towards Celia and rapidly pierced 9 silver needles into her body. Celia's pupils suddenly widened. Guo Pai cried out in his mind. Not good. This is the gate of servitude trying to control the body. But after about 3 breaths, he could clearly feel that the silver needles he had pierced into her body had changed. Ancestor of water. It's actually the ancestor of water. Guo Pai was delighted. It seemed that Shui Yunzi's true body was indeed inside his aunt's body. Don't just stand there. Carry this girl and fly up. The higher the better. I won't be able to hold on for long if I deceive this gate of servitude. Shui Yunzi loudly said to Guo Pai. Guo Pai didn't dare to be careless. He pulled Celia up and disappeared from everyone's sight. Little Yu, it's about time. The one controlling the gate of servitude isn't the great demon's true body. At this height, the connection has already been severed. Find a way to release me, and I'll help you deal with the gate of servitude, Shui Yunzi said with a smile. Senior, if I release you, the gate of servitude will immediately discover me, and my aunt will die for sure. Compared to before, Senior, you're no longer as honest as before, Guo Pai said with a smile. Cough, cough, cough. Little guy, just who are you? You know a lot of things, many of which are from the heavenly court. Could it be that you're the reincarnation of a true immortal? Shui Yunzi said with a thick face. Guo Pai was right. If he were to break the formation and release him, even if the one controlling the gate of servitude was only a strand of the great demon's divine sense, this body would die for sure. Once I rescue Senior, Senior will naturally know who I am, Guo Pai said with a smile. However, I want this woman alive. Otherwise, I won't break the seal on her body. Little guy, that's easy for you to say. Let's not talk about whether this girl can live or not. Can little you break the formation on her body? Shui Yunzi said with a trace of disdain. The great demon sealing techniques are mostly stolen from great shamans or humans. I can break such a formation with my eyes closed. Senior, you're trapped in the formation and naturally can't break it. It's just like how Senior was locked in a room. It's easy to open the door with the key, but it's very difficult for Senior to come out. Guopai said unhurriedly. His divine sense seeped into Celia's body bit by bit. He truly couldn't deal with the gate of servitude. If I help you break the gate of servitude, can you rescue me immediately? Shui Yunzi asked softly. He naturally understood Guopai's words. The relationship between him and Guopai was similar to his relationship with the gate of servitude. He could open the gate of servitude, but he couldn't break the formation that sealed him. If it's Senior Shui Yunzi's true body that's trapped here, I can't directly release Senior, nor do I dare to directly release Senior, Guopai said with a smile. Then what's the point of chatting? I won't save this girl. You continue to think of a way. I'll give you 10 breaths of time. Then, I won't care about the gate of servitude, Shui Yunzi said loudly. After living for tens of thousands of years, he didn't care about things that didn't benefit him. Senior, I said I won't save Senior. Not because I can't save Senior, but if it's Senior's true body, I'm afraid that the heavenly thunder of Nine Wrath will descend once you leave this formation. Senior, you can resist it, but I can't, Guopai said with a smile. If Senior helps me break the gate of servitude and follow me back to Huaxia, I'll definitely release Senior, and I promise that the heavenly thunder of Nine Wrath won't be attracted. Kid, don't lie to me. I've only been lied to once in my life. As a result, I've been trapped in this formation for 80,000 years. If you dare to lie to me, this formation can only trap me for 99 times at most. When I come out, I'll definitely send everyone related to you to the 18th level of hell, never to be reincarnated, Shui Yunzi said loudly. A strong force appeared on Celia's body. Gate of servitude, dream devil, I'm going to make you my sworn enemy. You being sealed here is between you and a human magus. What does it have to do with me, an idle person? How dare you trick me? Chapter 417. Guopao naturally felt the changes in Celia's body and hurriedly took back the silver needles. At the moment when the gate of slavery broke open, a trace of his spiritual consciousness also went back into his body. Seeing Guofanyu's gate of slavery break open, Guopao finally felt relieved. Boy, what did you do to me? I'm going to kill you. Celia opened her eyes and fiercely hit Guopai with the whip in her hand. Aunt Fanyu, I am Guopai. Now that the gate of slavery was opened, Guopai didn't have to worry about the person behind his aunt's back. He directly said his identity. Fanyu. Yes, I am Guofanyu. You're a little bad? How is this possible? It must be an illusion. I am not Guofanyu. I am Celia. If you don't want to die, hurry up and leave the arena. I can't control myself. Guofanyu roared loudly. She finally knew why she had that feeling when she looked at the young man in front of her. Yes, this young man was her nephew, her brother's son. However, she couldn't acknowledge her nephew because she knew that the demon from back then controlled everything about her. Aunt, it's all in the past. Come back with me to see Grandpa. You're fine now. Guopai touched the bloodstains on his face and said with a smile, the curse that controlled you has been broken. Guofanyu shook her head in disbelief. How is this possible? Whenever she thought of her past, she would feel a heart-wrenching pain. After so many years, she didn't dare to think of Guofanyu's name. But now, it seemed that everything was in the past. Little bad, I am really fine. You saved me, didn't you? But you're not that person's opponent. Hurry up and leave here. Go as far as you can. No one in this world is his opponent. Guofanyu said loudly with tears in her eyes. He hasn't noticed the change in me. Hurry up and leave. I beg you. I can't turn back in this life. Come back with me to Huaxia. I will slowly deal with the Dark Church and the Angel Council. They will all get their retribution. Guopai said softly. It's not just them. They're just pawns like me. That person isn't human at all. He's a devil. Just as Guofanyu was about to say something, Guopai felt an extremely terrifying pressure pressing down on them. Kid, the master of the gate of slavery is here, Shui Yunzi said loudly. I'm not the one who opened the gate of slavery. It has nothing to do with me. Senior Shui Yunzi, it's just a strand of the great demon's divine sense. I'll leave it to you. After Guopai finished speaking, he flew directly towards the arena. Seeing Guopai leave, Guofanyu's heart suddenly calmed down. Come on then. If there's anything, let me handle it myself. Little girl, don't cause trouble. It's just a strand of divine sense. If he wants to enter your body, then let him in. I'll take care of him. Guofanyu suddenly heard such a voice in her mind, giving herself a fright. You have a good nephew. After I deal with this great demon's divine sense, I'll take care of your nephew. Shui Yunzi's voice hadn't faded when the great demon's divine sense entered Guofanyu's body. Brother Shui Yunzi, what's wrong with you today? Why did you break this Lord's gate of slavery? You're trapped in the array. I can't release you. You should know that I'm also trapped in the array. Guofanyu's face was pale. That's right. The person who appeared in her sea of consciousness was the devil who controlled her. Not only did he control her, but he also controlled the bishop of the Dark Church, Raphael, and several six-winged angels. Fuck off, I'm going out. You're lucky that you're sealed. Otherwise, I'll definitely destroy your true body. As for your strand of divine sense, I'll take it as interest today. After saying that, a white ribbon suddenly appeared in Shui Yunzi's hand and tightly wrapped around the black-clothed divine sense. Shui Yunzi, how dare you? The black-clothed man roared. You've trapped me for 80,000 years. Why wouldn't I dare? I don't know what you want to do in the human world. Originally, I didn't want to care, but now I want to. 80,000 years. Give me back 80,000 years of freedom. Before his voice faded away, the black-clothed man's divine sense disappeared without a trace. Dead just like that. Alas, it seems that I didn't stay here for 80,000 years in vain. My strength has improved so much. I don't know if I can last a few rounds against that old man Hongjun. Shui Yunzi put away the ribbon in his hand and thought to himself. But when he returned to the heavenly court and faced Hongjun ancestor, this old man would suffer a lot. Of course, this was a story for later. Little girl, don't be in a daze. Don't worry about who I am. You'll know later. Now do what you need to do. Shui Yunzi transmitted his voice to Guofanyu and then no longer breathed. Guofanyu only knew that there seemed to be an existence more terrible than a demon in her sea of consciousness. Zhou, do you want to escape from the arena now? I won't let you escape this time. You're dead. And you, Pengang, Feng Rue. Inlay narrowed his eyes and looked at Zhou and the other two. The longer time passed, the easier it was for 7 people to deal with 3 people. One of Zhou's arms was drooping. Feng Rue's clothes had been burned to pieces by the fireball, and Pengang's body was full of holes. Inlay, don't forget that our team competition will be seen by the people of Huaxia. At that time, your Yin family will be the enemy of the entire Huaxia. You two won't be able to escape. Brother Nangong will definitely tear you to pieces. Zhou said loudly. So you've been waiting for so long. Haha, that's funny. Let me tell you, Lady Celia is a 6-winged angel of the Angel Council. You should have heard of the 6-winged angel. Back then, the entire superpower group couldn't do anything to the 6-winged angel. It's hard to say whether Nangong Hao can survive or not. What a joke. Inlay said loudly. Is that so? I'm sorry to disappoint you this time. Just as Inlay finished speaking, Guopai appeared in the arena. Other than a bloody scar on his face, Guopai's aura did not fluctuate at all. The Yin brothers and the 5 superpower users from the Anglo-American team widened their eyes. This is impossible. How can Lady Celia lose to you? You're the one who escaped to the arena. You can't beat Lady Celia, Harris said loudly. Little bad. Leave these 2 Huaxia traitors to me. Guofanyu landed on the arena and said softly to the Yin brothers. Lady Celia, what are you talking about? Inlay and Inshan are members of our holy see. You can continue to fight with that Nangong Hao. Leave the 3 of them to us, Harris said loudly. Idiot, Do you think only you can make these two Hua Xia traitors betray us? Your Lady Celia is a member of our Hua Xia. Naturally, she will help our Hua Xia at the crucial moment. Idiot, Guopai said loudly. The group of people widened their eyes. I knew Brother Bad Guy would handle it. Little Ling, Mo said with a smile below the arena. Yin Lai and the others wanted to get more information from Little Ling Mo, but the little girl didn't say a word. Haha, old four is mighty. Jia Yuan spat out a mouthful of hot tea onto the computer screen and couldn't help but shout. Fortunately, the computer screen was waterproof. However, despite such a big commotion, the old men surprisingly didn't get angry. It's good that nothing happened. Chapter 4:18. Impossible. How is this possible? How could Lady Celia help Hua Xia? Davis looked at the scene in the ring and widened his eyes. We can't let these Hua Xia people win again. Even if we have to ruin this martial arts tournament, we can't let Hua Xia win first place in the team competition. Davis roared with a ferocious face, his eyes falling on the laser guns placed around the ring. Aunt, I'll leave this to you. I don't like the feeling of laser guns pointing at me. Deep in Guo Pao's heart, the feeling of being targeted by a laser gun appeared once again. He looked at the 8 fellows with laser guns and leaped up. 8 silver lights flashed from his hands. The 8 fellows who had received the order to open fire on the arena suddenly had their pupils dilate and no longer had any signs of life. 8 laser guns. These things are yours truly now. I have to study these things properly. If I can really return to the heavenly court and have a bunch of these things, I just have to modify them slightly. These things won't be seen as good weapons. Guopai thought to himself. Several mighty immortals in the heavenly court looked at the human world with black lines on their faces. This my reading sage's idea was really good. Davis didn't see the scene he wanted. It's over. This martial arts tournament is over. I'm also done for. The bishop won't let me go. However, he still couldn't understand why the purple bishop of the Vatican, Lady Celia, would help Hua Xia. Die. You 2 bastards' lives will be my atonement for returning to Hua Xia. As soon as Guo Fanyu's voice fell, the long whip in her hand reaped the heads of the Yin brothers like a sickle. The 5 British and American ability users looked at everything in front of them in a daze. Under the counterattack of Zhou Zhan and the other 2, they had no power to fight back and were directly knocked out of the ring. Aunt, you didn't do anything wrong. What are you guilty of? Guo Pao returned to the arena once again and looked at the 2 headless corpses on the ground. He smiled and said to his aunt, if he could help Guo Fanyu, the last trace of Guo Pao's spiritual sense that could not fuse into his body completely disappeared. When he ascended to the heaven realm, he would no longer be affected by his physical body. Guo Fanyu smiled slightly. She couldn't believe that the young man in front of her was her nephew. Her nephew saved her, and she could finally return to Hua Xia. Aunt, you go down first. Once you get out of the ring, the first place of the team competition will belong to Hua Xia. The biggest winner of this martial arts tournament is Hua Xia. Guopai said loudly. Zhou Zhan couldn't help but shiver. He really didn't expect that the team competition would be so full of ups and downs. But in the end, the champion of the team competition was really won by Hua Xia. It was the first team champion in the history of Hua Xia. Mr. Davis, I think it's time to announce the result of the team competition. Everyone is waiting. Guo Pao was the second to jump down after Guo Fanyu. He walked to Davis's side and said with a smile, "You're right. Mr. Nangong is really good. I announce that the champion of the team competition of this martial arts tournament is Hua Xia's ability user. As for the top 3 of the individual competition and the first place of the team competition, the rewards will be handed over to the Hua Xia government one day later," Davis said through gritted teeth. Handed over to the Hua Xia government. Guopai was stunned. Zhou Zhan pulled Guopai aside and whispered in Guopai's ear, "Brother, the rewards of the martial arts tournament will be handed over to the country first, but the ability users who participated in this martial arts tournament will have the priority to enter the black hole. Don't worry about that." Guopai smiled and nodded. If it was handed over to the country, then so be it. Anyway, as long as he could go, most of the good things in the black hole would be his. Now that the most important thing was done and his aunt was fine, he could go back and report to the old man. Brother, what's going on? How did you and Miss Celia get to know each other? You've really hidden it from us. Fortunately, you came back early. Otherwise, we would have been killed by the Eam brothers. Feng Rue followed them back to the rest area. Guopai treated the injuries on the three of them, and Feng Rue asked with a smile. She's not Celia. She's my Aunt Guofanyu. As for what happened, I won't tell you in detail, Guopai said with a smile. Guofanyu? Guotian's sister? Brother Nangong, if she's your aunt, then you should be Guopai, who has been in the limelight recently in Huaxia. Yi Peng, who had been quiet all this time, asked with a hint of surprise. Yes, I'm Guopai. Brother Zhou and the others already know. I thought Brother Zhou told you. Guopai said with a smile. We'll talk about it when we get back to the capital. I'll help you improve your strength. If you need anything in the future, you can go to Bugyaku to find me. Guopai had nothing to hide after the martial arts tournament. Haha, heroes come from young. I've heard of your name when I was in the capital. I didn't expect you to be by my side. Haha, Yi Peng said with a smile. Zhou Zhan, you didn't do a good job. You even hid it from me. Zhou Zhan shook his head helplessly. He only learned about Guopai's identity after receiving a call from the head of the Zhou family. He had let it slip several times, but Yi Peng didn't notice. Brother Yi, you can't blame Brother Zhou for this. Think about it. I called Brother Bad Guy many times. Can't you connect the dots? You're really a fool. Nangong Lingma's words made everyone laugh. Black lines appeared on Yi Peng's face. Brother Bad, I've got the barbecue you wanted. After we get back to Huaxia, I'll stay in Bugyaku for a while. I hope Brother can give me some pointers. We can't reveal our identity as ability users, and we can't use our abilities as we wish. We have to rely on Brother to find another way out for us. Yin Lai came back from outside, holding a big box, which was emitting the aroma of meat. Little Bad, why did you get so much barbecue? Don't tell me you can't eat meat in Huaxia. Guofanyu looked at the big box, which contained more than 100 pounds of barbecue, and couldn't help but ask. Little Aunt, I'll tell you this. Brother Bad Guy has a lot of women in Huaxia. He brought so much meat, but it might not be enough. By the way, when I grow up, I'll also be Brother Bad Guy's wife. Little Aunt, I'll be your niece-in-law, Nangong Lingma said loudly. Sister Yuer is the first wife. Sister Lin Shuang already has a child. Sister Lingling seems to be very close to Brother Bad Guy. The other sisters and grannies like me very much. I have to take Little Aunt's place first. I'll take the position of the first niece-in-law first. When Nangong Lingma's voice fell, Guopai, Zhou Zhan, and the others were speechless. Guofanyu couldn't help but laugh. She couldn't help but hug Nangong Lingma and knock on his head. He was really different from her brother. In the evening, the group had dinner. Guofanyu stayed in Guopai's room and didn't go out. They talked a lot. At this time, Guofanyu discovered that her nephew was really surprising. Amazing medical skills, terrifying strength, and amazing strategy. All the abilities that God could give to a person could be seen in her nephew. Of course, there was one thing that she didn't know. Her nephew was no longer the nephew who only knew how to flirt with little girls behind her. Little Aunt, the matter of the Dark Church and the Angel Council can be solved after we go back to Huaxia. You should know that there are still some things in your body that haven't been solved. Guopai said with a smile. I know. I just want to go back to Huaxia. I haven't seen my parents for a long time. Chapter 419. Guopai smiled and nodded. Ever since the martial arts competition ended, his satellite phone had been ringing nonstop. The girls were chattering nonstop, and the old man was hoping that he and Guopai would hurry home. The three sworn brothers also joined in the fun, shouting for Guopai to go home and share the money. Hello, who is this? Guopai's phone rang again. It was an unfamiliar number, but Guopai still picked it up. Brother Guopai, you made me look for you. I'm Mo Beifong. Do you still recognize me? Mo Beifong, the big boss of the Huaxia Auction Company. When Guopai heard the other party say Mo Beifong, he immediately knew who this person was. Mo Lao Ge, how could I not recognize you? How is Lu Yin doing recently? When I return to the capital, I'll bring Lu Yin to live in Bugyaku. Your auction company will have to find another auctioneer, Guopai said with a smile. It's a small matter. It's a small matter. It shall lose fortune to follow you. However, there's something I have to tell you. Do you still remember the little black cauldron I gave you earlier? I told you that I got it from an auction in Europe. I just received news that there's an underground auction in Italy. I don't know if you're interested. If you are, I can arrange it for you, Mo Beifong said with a smile. Zhang Sanfeng's 9 Jade King Cauldron. When Guopai heard Mo Beifong's words, a small black cauldron appeared in his hand. How could he not remember? If he didn't have this cauldron, he wouldn't have been able to refine so many pills. Mo Lao Gu, I'll have to trouble you to make the arrangements then. However, I'm currently overseas, and I don't know when the auction will start, Guopai asked with a smile. 3 days later, if you have nothing to do, you could go to Italy directly. We'll talk about it when we meet. I'll introduce you to a few friends. They're all big shots in Italy. Everything will be easy then, Mo Beifong said with a smile. Then they talked about other things and hung up the phone. Little Bad, what's the matter? I just heard that you're going to Italy? Guofanyu asked softly. Annie, I really have to go to Italy first. Why don't you go back to Huaxia with Brother Zhou and wait for me? I'll go back as soon as I'm done. Guopai said with a hint of helplessness. Anyway, I don't care. If Annie wants to go back, then go back. I'm going to Italy too. Sister Yuer told me to keep an eye on you. If I don't keep an eye on you, you might mess around outside again. Little Ling Mo pouted and said. Ahem, little girl, what's going on in your head every day? Guopai couldn't help but say, Auntie, why don't you go back first? Grandpa and Grandma are waiting for you at home. Guofanyu nodded gently. Then, Guopai said a few more words to Zhou Zhan and the others. They flew back to Las Vegas from the arena of the Special Ability Martial Arts Tournament that day. Then, Guopai watched Guofanyu, Zhou Zhan, and the others board the plane and return to China. Of course, Guopai chatted with Shui Yunzi for a while and promised that he would find a way to get him out within 30 days. After being trapped for 80,000 years, Shui Yunzi could afford to wait. Big brother bad guy, are you going to go to Italy as Nangong Hao or as Guopai? Little Ling Mo asked with a smile as she watched them leave. If you want to see Mo Beifong, you'd better use Guopai's identity. But little girl, you're now a celebrity. Although not many ordinary people know you, those who have watched the Special Ability Martial Arts Tournament know that you're the champion of the individual competition. Remember not to cause any trouble. Guopai reminded Little Ling Mo. Little Ling Mo stuck out her tongue. Mr. Vittorio, my name is Nangong Lingma. My brother asked me to call you. Little Ling Mo took Guopai's satellite phone and dialed the number of Little Vittorio, the eldest son of the Italian Mafia's godfather, who had gambled with Guopai in Las Vegas. Oh, it's Miss Nangong Lingma. I'd like to congratulate Miss Nangong on winning first place in the Special Ability Martial Arts Tournament. I wonder why Mr. Nangong Hao asked you to make this call? Vittorio asked with a smile. I heard from Mr. Hilton that you're still in Las Vegas. My other brother and I are going to Italy. I'd like to ask you to arrange it for us. I don't know if you're going back. If you're going back, we'll go with you, Little Ling Mo said softly. Guopai told Little Ling Mo that if she went to Italy, it would be best to follow Little Vittorio. With the protection of the Italian Mafia, they would be much safer in Italy. What a coincidence. I'm going to fly back to Italy tonight. We can go back together. Where are you now? I'll send someone to pick you up. You can come to my place first, and we'll fly to Italy together tonight, Vittorio said with a smile. Little Ling Mo had his own reasons for calling him. Originally, he had a good relationship with Huaxia during the gambling fight. His father had given him a strict order to be on good terms with Huaxia. Although he hadn't been able to contact Nangong Hao, if he could connect with this little Huaxia girl, his mission would be considered accomplished. Little Ling Mo hung up the phone. Guopai nodded with satisfaction. About half an hour later, they got into a Rolls-Royce on a luxury street and rushed to Vittorio's place. Little girl, why are you buying all these things? They're not practical at all. You should learn from your sister Yuer. She never spends money recklessly. Guopai couldn't help but say as he looked at the big and small bags of things that Little Ling Mo had bought. It's none of your business. I'm not spending your money. I'm a billionaire now. Why should I keep so much money? I'm definitely going to spend it as much as I can. The little girl gritted her teeth and said. Guopai was speechless. When they came back from the martial art competition, he didn't know what little Ling Mo had said to Davis. The 50 billion reward for being the champion was directly transferred to the little girl's card. This time, little Ling Mo had to spend as much as he could. The driver glanced at the little girl. He didn't expect her to own a billionaire at such a young age. It was no wonder that young Master Vittorio had asked him to pick her up. Brother bad guy, this place is so beautiful. Do you think I should buy a villa like this? Look, there are leopards over there. They're so much more magnificent than cats. I've decided, when I go back to Huaxia, I'll buy a villa like this and raise some leopards and tigers. After about half an hour's drive, Guopai and the others walked into a villa. Vittorio's residence was really good. It was decorated in a Mediterranean style. There were a few leopards in the yard, and there seemed to be 2 white tigers not far away. When the time comes, you should buy a big villa. Don't raise these things. When the time comes, I'll get you an ancient Xian beast. That would be magnificent, Guopai said with a speechless face. It would be magnificent if you put the fire mythological beast in the yard. There's no Xian beast. I think you've read too many fantasy novels. Mr. Vittorio is here. Let's go, little Ling Mo said with a smile. Miss Nangong, I didn't expect you to be so powerful. I spent $20 billion to watch the live broadcast of your martial arts competition. Now, there are many rich people who want to make friends with Miss Nangong, Vittorio said with a smile. I was lucky. It was pure luck that I won first place. Little Ling Mo said with some embarrassment. Let me introduce you first. This is my brother, Guopai. If you search for his information, you'll definitely want to be friends with him. He's the #1 miracle doctor in Huaxia. Brother, this is the Mr. Vittorio that my good brother was talking about. If you go to Italy, you'll know how powerful Mr. Vittorio is. After hearing little Ling Mo's last sentence, Vittorio subconsciously raised his head. In Italy, no one dared to provoke him. This little girl really gave him face. But who was this young man named Guopai? He didn't have any impression of him. But one of his followers heard Guopai's son say a few words in Vittorio's ear. Vittorio's eyes widened. Hello, Mr. Guopai. I'm Vittorio. Nice to meet you. Chapter 420. Guopai shook Vittorio's hand with a smile, and the two of them walked into the room. Let's have lunch together. May I know why you two are in Italy this time? Vittorio asked with a smile. The waiter left the room obediently, and Guopai nodded with satisfaction. Mr. Vittorio, we're going to Italy because we heard from a friend that there's a good auction in Italy. We want to go and take a look, Guopai said without hiding anything. Auction? There are auctions in Italy every day. May I know which one you're talking about, Mr. Guopai? Vittorio asked with a smile. Of course it is the biggest and most interesting auction. You should know about it, right? Guopai narrowed his eyes. It seemed that this auction was very interesting. If the son of the Italian mafia was so cautious, it must not be an ordinary auction. Vittorio stopped talking and looked at Guopai and Ling Mo with a smile. The waiter placed some desserts on the table, and Vittorio picked up a piece of cheese-like thing and put it in his mouth. Then, he gestured for Guopai and Ling Mo to have a taste. Brother Vittorio, if I were you, I would resist and refuse such delicious food. After all, your liver doesn't allow you to eat such things. What do you think? Guopai said with a smile as he picked up a piece of cheese and put it in his mouth. Ling Mo didn't hold back either. Desserts were very tempting to him. Brother Guopai, you can tell that there's a problem with my liver? My personal doctor told me to eat less desserts, but I can't control my mouth. I always want to eat some desserts. It seems that Weston was right when he said that Mr. Guopai is a genius doctor, Vittorio said with a smile. It is just a small problem. Why don't I use this opportunity to give you some acupuncture? Then you can eat desserts whenever you want in the future. Guopai said with a smile. Vittorio's eyes widened, and he looked at Weston who was standing beside him. Then he nodded and walked out. About 3 or 4 minutes later, a man in his 50s came in and stood beside Vittorio with a respectful expression. Brother Guopai, it's not that I don't trust you, but I don't know much about Hua Xia's medical skills. This is my personal doctor, Martin. Let him stand aside and watch. It shouldn't affect your medical skills, right? Vittorio said with a smile. The Hua Xia people he had met recently were all very strange. From Nangong Hao to Nangong Lingma, they all had some special talents. Therefore, Vittorio didn't have much resistance when Guo Pai said that he could treat his liver disease. With Martin by your side, of course, there won't be a problem. Mr. Martin should know your condition the best. It's a good opportunity for Mr. Martin to test the effects of my treatment. After saying that, Guo Pai took out a brown cloth bag from his sleeve. After opening it, a row of various silver needles appeared in front of everyone. Of course, Guo Pai could do it directly, but it would be a little too conspicuous. No, Mr. Guo Pai, put these things away. I'm sick of needles. Vittorio couldn't help but shout when he saw the silver needles in Guo Pai's hand. Brother, they are already in your body. Don't you feel it? Guo Pai said with a smile. Vittorio saw a silver needle in his stomach. Then, 3 more flashes of silver light appeared. There were now 4 silver needles in Vittorio's stomach. It doesn't hurt. I don't feel anything. Vittorio's face became a little better, but Martin frowned. He knew a little about Hua Xia's acupuncture, but he didn't remember anyone using acupuncture through clothes. Mark, is there something wrong? I don't feel anything wrong, but Brother Guo Pai, can you help me pull out these needles? Vittorio asked with a smile when he saw Mark's expression. Nangong Lingma was the champion of this year's special ability martial arts competition. Although it was somewhat exaggerated, no one in this villa could deal with this little girl. Vittorio could only admit that he was unlucky to have been pricked by a few needles. It will hurt a little, but in 3 minutes at most, the layer of fat above your liver will completely disappear. I will also detoxify your liver. You should have something to check the age of your organs. Then you will know the function of these silver needles, Guo Pai said with a smile. Vittorio's expression changed. Oh no, it hurts. It hurts a little. What's wrong? Am I dying? Miss Nangong, please ask Mr. Guo Pai to help me pull out the needles. It hurts. It really hurts, Vittorio said loudly as he looked at Nangong Lingma, who was tasting the delicious food. Are you really going to pull them out now? I don't care if the treatment effect is not completely achieved. When Brother Bad Guy treats people, he won't treat them without 100 million or 200 million yuan. Nangong Lingma licked her lips and said, Brother Bad Guy, just do enough. You don't have to treat him completely. If there is no problem, just pull out the needles. He can't even stand this little pain. Sigh. Guo Pai nodded with a smile. Before anyone could see what was going on, the 4 silver needles were back in Guo Pai's hand. Guo Pai then put them into the cloth bag. When the silver needles were pulled out, Vittorio suddenly felt very relaxed. He was much more comfortable than before. Mark, quickly, help me check if there is anything wrong with my body, Vittorio shouted. He followed Mark into the house. The 2 men and 1 woman who had been at the door quickly plugged in various instruments and checked Vittorio in the living room. Vittorio, who was shirtless, looked at the 4 needle marks on his stomach. He didn't believe that his fatty liver could be cured just like that. My God, Jim, come take a look. How can this be? I remember that we just checked young master 3 days ago. The fatty liver coverage was more than 60%. Now it is all gone. How can this be? Mark exclaimed loudly as he looked at Vittorio in shock. The middle-aged man, named Jim, stared intently at the numbers. 30 years old. Ivan's data is normal. The age of his liver is now 30 years old. He is 13 years younger than last time. How can this be? Jim couldn't help but say, Hey, what do you mean? Is my situation very bad now? Vittorio asked loudly. Looking at the expressions of the 2 private doctors, Vittorio was a little scared. No, Ivan, your fatty liver is completely cured. In addition, your liver is now almost the same age as you. This is a medical miracle. Hua Xia, please tell me, how did you do it? It is too miraculous. Jim looked at Guo Pai and asked. The effect could have been better, but unfortunately, Mr. Vittorio is afraid of pain. My brother had no choice but to withdraw the needles. Also, please put on some clothes. How can you be shirtless? Besides, you're not handsome at all. Little Ling Mo said loudly to Vittorio. Ahem, Mark, Jim, you can leave first. But don't tell anyone about what happened today, including my father. Vittorio immediately returned to his normal expression. He slowly put on his shirt and went back to his room to tidy himself up a little. Then, he walked out with a smile. Miss Nangong, I am sorry about what happened just now. But there was a reason for it. I hope Miss Nangong won't take it to heart, Vittorio said with a smile. Little Ling Mo waved his hand and continued to eat the desserts. Brother Guopao, thank you for treating me just now. Here's the fee for this treatment. Please accept it. Vittorio handed Guopao a check as he spoke. No, since you call me brother, we should be friends. I can't take your money, Guopai said with a smile. Besides, we're going to ride your plane to Italy. Chapter 421. Vittorio leaned back on the sofa and looked at the smiling Guopai again. Huaxia, another miraculous Huaxia. He was able to cure his fatty liver so easily. With his medical skills alone, countless people would be willing to make friends with him. This was an opportunity for Vittorio. Of course, Vittorio didn't know that Guopai had greater abilities. Brother Guopai, I remember that you're going to Naples for the auction in Italy, right? Vittorio said with a smile. I don't think Brother Guopai will be interested in an ordinary auction. Haha, you know me well. We are indeed going to Naples. There are friends there to pick us up. We have already done everything we need to do. We're just going to take a ride on the plane, Guopai said with a smile. Brother, if you say so, you're looking down on me. The organizer of the underground auction in Naples is the Ivan family. As the host, I will arrange for you and Miss Nangong. As for your other friends from Huaxia, we will meet when we arrive in Naples. If you like something, we can make a deal in advance, Vittorio said with a smile. Then I will thank you in advance. Since you're the organizer of the auction, I can provide you with something. I wish you success in this auction, Guopai said as a jade bottle appeared in his hand. Inside were none other than 10 snow mussel pills. Many people in the United States knew about this, so there should be many people in Italy who knew about it. Mr. Vittorio, hurry up and take it. If you don't know what effect this thing has, you can ask your housekeeper. I think he knows a lot. This is the snow mussel pill, which is a miraculous medicine from Huaxia. Sigh, I really don't know how you are a young master. You don't know anything. Ling Mo looked at the stunned Vittorio and shook her head. Today, he had been despised by the little girl several times. Vittorio felt a little embarrassed. His face was slightly red, and he directly called Martin to his side. Martin naturally heard the 3 words, snow mussel pill. He whispered a few words in Vittorio's ear, and Vittorio couldn't help but stand up. And you call yourself an Italian noble, country bumpkin. This sentence was spoken in Huaxia, so Vittorio naturally didn't understand it. But Martin, who knew 8 languages, knew what it meant. However, he didn't dare to translate the little girl's words for Vittorio. It's just some small stuff. Elder brother, you don't have to be too excited. I see that elder brother has some foundation in martial arts. I'll give this pill to elder brother. I believe elder brother will be very satisfied. Guopai said. This time he took out a white jade box. He opened it and saw a 5-colored pill lying inside. Meridian opening pill. Vittorio didn't say anything, but Martin asked in surprise. Seeing Guopai nod, Martin whispered something in Vittorio's ear in Italian. Vittorio hurriedly took the jade box, took out the pill, and put it in his mouth. Hurry up and go to the toilet. You didn't even ask how to eat it before swallowing it whole. You're really a country bumpkin. This time, little Ling Mo said in English. But before Vittorio could speak, his stomach had already reacted. He rushed to the nearest toilet. Bad guy. Elder brother, you don't have to spend so much effort on this guy. Watching Vittorio run to the toilet, little Ling Mo packed up the rest of the desserts and asked Guopai. This guy's not bad. This is the 2nd time we've dealt with him. It's good for them, and we don't lose anything. Just treat it as making friends. Guopai said with a smile. Little Ling Mo nodded. Then, Vittorio's roar came from the whole villa. Country bumpkin, you're really a country bumpkin. I thought you were a noble. As little Ling Mo spoke, he walked out by himself. The wild beasts outside posed no threat to the little girl. After a short while, the few big fellows had become familiar with the little girl. At this moment, The little girl was riding on the few big fellows and running around the courtyard. About half an hour later, Vittorio changed his clothes and walked out of the house. The originally dispirited guy gave off a different vibe. His spirit had completely changed. "Brother, you've given me such a big gift. How do you want me to repay you?" Vittorio couldn't help but say, "This time, when you go to the auction, go take a look at the auction. If there's anything you want, just take it." Guopai nodded with a smile. This Vittorio was quite good at doing things. The dinner he prepared was very sumptuous. Guopai also provided some good wine for Vittorio. Vittorio once again felt the mystery of the Eastern Huaxia people. "Miss Nangong, if you like these big guys, I'll find a way to get you to Huaxia. If you want to raise them here, I'll give this house to you. I don't come here often anyway," Vittorio said with a smile. "No need. If we come to Las Vegas in the future, we'll just stay here. Your desserts are good. If you have any, I want to bring some with me before we board the plane," Little Ling Mo said with a smile. Vittorio quickly agreed. After dinner, the few of them boarded Vittorio's private plane. Vittorio had already told his father about the snow mussel pill. His father had praised him for what he had done this time. However, he didn't mention the Meridian's opening pill. If he did, his father would probably be angry. After all, he had taken the good stuff himself. "Ah, a plane again. Actually, it's not bad to fly over this distance on a sword. It's all because of you, little girl. If I were alone, I would have flown to Italy," Guopai said to Little Ling Mo as he got on the plane. "Humph. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking? Without me, you can indulge in debauchery. Do you think I don't know what you're thinking?" Little Ling Mo pouted and said, "If you want to fly, you can get off now. It'll be interesting if you get shot down by the police as a UFO. Ahem. Guopai coughed twice and didn't say anything more. Vittorio looked at the two of them. Because he didn't learn Huaxia well, he didn't understand what was going on. However, he felt that Guopai was more powerful than Nangong Hao. Nangong Hao was just a martial artist, but this Guopai was really a good person. "Brother, tell me where our plane will land. I'll tell that brother of Huaxia and ask him to come find us," Guopai said with a smile. "When we arrive in Italy, let my brother make the arrangements." "How can I let your brother come find us?" "I'll ask my people to pick him up in advance. When we get off the plane, you'll be able to meet him. Give me your brother's information, and you don't have to worry about the rest," Vittorio said with a smile. Guopao had given Mo Beifeng's information to Vittorio, and it turned out to be quite a joke. In a hotel at the Naples airport, Mo Beifeng was bored and found two blonde beauties to do something inappropriate with him. However, just as he took off his clothes, the door of the hotel opened, and four men in black walked in with weapons in their hands. Although Mo Beifeng was already at the Xiantian realm, he was still taken away by the four men in black. "I'm Mr. Cyril's friend. You can contact him on the phone. I don't think I've offended any of you." Mo Beifeng felt like his head was about to explode. What was going on? They knew that Guopai was coming from Las Vegas, and now they couldn't pick him up. "Mo, we don't mean any harm. Mr. Vittorio asked us to bring you here. I'm really sorry. Maybe the people below didn't understand what I meant. I'm really sorry. The two beauties you found are in the room. You can continue your unfinished business." "I'm really sorry," a man who looked like a butler said to Mo Beifeng with a smile when they arrived at a villa. "Damn, what's going on?" Chapter 422. Mo Beifeng naturally didn't continue his unfinished business and stayed in the villa. The people of the Ivan family entertained Mo Beifeng with good food and drinks. Although they didn't know why the young master wanted them to bring this Huaxia over, from the young master's words, they had to serve this person well. "Brother Guopai, we've already picked up the person. We'll be there in about 10 minutes, Vittorio said with a smile. "When we get off the plane, I'll bring you to enjoy the scenery of Naples." "Mr. Vittorio, there's no need to let him experience the scenery of Naples. If there's any delicious place, you can bring us to try it." Little Ling Mo looked at Vittorio and said with narrowed eyes. Vittorio immediately understood what Little Ling Mo meant and nodded with a smile. He really couldn't afford to offend this little Huaxia girl. But this time, since he invited them to Naples, he had to get down to business first. 10 snow muscle pills would definitely cause a storm in Europe. No, it should be a global storm. This Guopai wasn't simple. When the plane landed, Guopai was shocked by the scene outside. More than 30 men in black stood neatly. After the plane landed, a group of burly men with guns surrounded the plane. Guopai could faintly see that a group of snipers had already occupied all the commanding heights on the higher floors. This might be the strength of the mafia in Italy. Brother, don't worry and go down boldly. If something happens in Naples, Vittorio, won't be able to live anymore, Vittorio said with a smile. If it was a few years ago, he wouldn't have dared to say this. At that time, Naples had its own underworld forces, and the mafia's strength was mainly in Milan. But now, Naples was the same as Milan, where the mafia covered the sky with one hand. Guopai smiled and got off the plane. Vittorio followed behind. After getting off the plane, 2 bulletproof versions of the Aston Martin drove them to a huge manor. Big brother bad guy. The foreigners live in such a big place. Look at our house. Although there are many courtyards, we have a lot of people. After we return to Huaxia, should we also rebuild a big courtyard? Little Lingmal whispered. Okay, but we have to go back to Wu Castle. The land in the capital is too expensive, and all the good places are already occupied. Guopai said with a smile. The imperial capital was indeed a good place. Many rogue cultivators lived in seclusion in the city and occupied their own places. He couldn't drive them away. However, Wu Castle was different. He could set up a formation to gather spiritual energy in his home. Although Vittorio's manor was not small, the cultivation environment could only be described with one word: poor. My father is in Naples, right? Vittorio asked a middle-aged man next to him. Boss is in Naples, but he hasn't come to the manor yet. Boss said to call him when you arrive at the manor. In addition, the Huaxia you asked us to pick up is resting in the guest room. Should we call him over now? The middle-aged man said with a smile. I'll call my father. You lead these 2 distinguished guests to the first living room, and then invite the Huaxia friend to the first living room as well. If they need anything, just do as Mr. Guopai says. After Vittorio finished speaking, he nodded to Guopai and picked up his phone to call his father. Guopai and little Lingma followed the middle-aged man to the living room. Abu, you guys have arrived at the manor, right? I'm having tea with a few old friends right now. Arrange for me to meet them tomorrow morning. The auction will start the day after tomorrow. Take out 6 of the 10 snow muscle pills and give them to Julio. Show the details of the auction to the Huaxia people. If he fancies something, you can directly negotiate with Julio. Old Vittorio, the godfather of Italian mafia, said into the phone. Abu was little Vittorio's nickname, and only his own father dared to call him that. Dad, don't worry. I know what to do. Let's have breakfast together tomorrow morning. This time, the Huaxia is called Guopai. He has excellent medical skills, Vittorio said with a smile. His father also smiled. Guopai and little Lingmal walked into the room. Seeing Mo Beifong in good spirits, Mo Beifong was stunned. You, how did you find this place? Were you also caught by them? Mo Beifong asked loudly. Mr. Mo, we already told you yesterday that you were a guest invited by our young master. These 2 are also our young master's guests, the middle-aged man said with a smile. Our young master will be here soon. You can chat first. After that, the middle-aged man walked out. Mo Lauga, we were going to come to you by ourselves, but we met Mr. Vittorio, so we came with the plane. This auction has a lot to do with the Ivan family. I want to follow them. It will be easier for us to attend the auction, Guopai said with a smile. Brother, what's your relationship with Vittorio? This person is from Italy, Mo Beifong said with a thumbs up. It's okay. I have a good relationship with him. You can call your partner in Italy so that it won't affect your business. Guopai said with a smile. Mo Beifong called Cyril, a boss with a good business in Naples. His attitude surprised Mo Beifong. Mr. Mo, now that I know you know Mr. Vittorio, we don't have to go through so much trouble to get the tickets for the auction. I've already transferred the $5 million you gave me to your card. You're Mr. Vittorio's friend, so I don't dare to take your money. Cyril said respectfully on the phone. Before Mo Beifong could react, Vittorio came in from outside. Oh, you must be the M.O. good that Brother Guapai was talking about. Nice to meet you. I am Vittorio. I didn't tell M.O. good clearly on the plane. I have arranged some activities for you tonight. Let's have some fun, Vittorio said with a smile. M.O. Bayphone was once again taken aback. He had heard a lot of people talking about Vittorio when he was doing business in Italy. This Vittorio had sunk countless people into the sea when he was in Milan. Now, he was chatting with him with a smile on his face. Mr. Vittorio, it's just a misunderstanding. There are some things that I need your help with on this trip to Italy, M.O. Bayphone said with a smile. Vittorio nodded with a smile. After lunch, Guapai and Ling M.O. were arranged to rest in a luxurious place in the manor. M.O. Bayphone followed Vittorio to meet some Italian businessmen. In Vittorio's eyes, the key to building a good relationship with Guapai was with M.O. Bayphone. The Italian businessmen who didn't give a damn about M.O. Bayphone all extended an olive branch to M.O. Bayphone. This made M.O. Bayphone feel that it was just as easy to get things done abroad as it was in China. Big brother bad guy, to be honest, what good things do you have abroad? Look at the things you found in the collection room in Las Vegas. There was nothing valuable. I don't think we can get anything from this auction in Italy, Ling M.O. said with a pout. Guapai shook his head slightly. The mystic light yin-yang mirror that had saved his life in the arena appeared in his hand. If he could find something like this in Italy, this trip would be worth it. Chapter 423. Guapai briefly explained the mystic light yin-yang mirror to the little girl. Little Ling Mo's eyes widened. This tattered mirror could actually block a laser gun. She couldn't believe it, but since Big Brother Bad Guy said so, it should be true. This trip to Italy made the little girl full of expectations. Bad bro, you haven't slept yet, right? There was a light knock on the door, and Vittorio asked with a smile. Little Ling M.O. ran to open the door, and Vittorio walked in with something that looked like a book in his hand. M.O. de go. Did you guys do something inappropriate? I'm warning you, you can go by yourselves, but you can't lead my bad guy astray. If you lead my bad guy astray, when you return to the capital, I can guarantee that your paradise on Earth won't be able to continue operating. Oomph. Little Ling M.O. waited for M.O. Bayphone to speak loudly. M.O. Bayphone shook his head innocently. He was wronged. He didn't do anything today. Huh. Miss Nangong, don't worry, I won't lead your brother astray. But you don't care about M.O. Laugo, right? I'll take M.O. Laugo out tonight to play. Vittorio didn't avoid arousing suspicion and said with a smile, Bad bro, take a good look at this album. It contains all the auction items. If you're interested in anything, you can mark it out. When the time comes, I'll find a way to find the seller directly. We can trade offline and save ourselves the trouble. Guapai thanked him and took the album. Vittorio pulled M.O. Bayphone out and let Guapai look at it slowly. They really did do something inappropriate for children. Bad guy bro, look at this jade pendant. It should be something from Huaxia. Circle it out. Little Ling M.O. chattered. Guapai shook his head. There was no doubt that the item in the picture was a piece of ancient jade. Based on the way these foreigners appraised jade, it was definitely authentic. However, this kind of jade was of no use to him at all. Since Vittorio had sold him such a favor, he naturally couldn't just casually pick a few items and leave it at that. Bad guy bro, I want this thing. Can you just take it? Little Ling M.O. pointed at a coral bonsai. It was a very beautiful thing, but Guapai still shook his head. Little girl, it's not like you don't have money. This kind of thing is at most a few $1,000,000. You can buy it yourself. If you don't want to spend money, I'll pay for it. Guapai said with a smile. Little Ling M.O. nodded with satisfaction. She did have a lot of money, but the little girl wasn't going to spend it recklessly. She still had a long life ahead of her. If Guapai knew that the little girl was thinking like this, he would definitely laugh until his belly hurt. Bad guy bro, I also want this thing. When the time comes, put in my room. It will definitely look good. After about 10 minutes, the two of them looked at less than 100 auction items. The little girl had already chosen several. Everything that looked good, the little girl would call it first. However, these things couldn't enter Guapai's eyes. Hee, there's finally something useful to me. But it's just a picture. I don't know if it's real or not. Guapai looked at a string of Buddhist beads and said with a smile. Bad guy, bro. There are a lot of such Buddhist beads on Liuli Street. It's at most 30 to 50 yuan. You can't have taken a fancy to this thing, right? Little Ling, Mo said with her eyes wide open. Guopai nodded gently. 18 beads. The picture wasn't very clear, but it looked very similar to the things of a few big Buddhas in the past. However, later on, it was proven that what little Ling Mo said was right. It was just a modern handicraft. But because of Guo Pai's participation, it was auctioned for a sky-high price of more than $10 million. It was snatched away by a Japanese man. Bad guy, bro, why are you sighing? The things I chose are at most a few $100 million. You have so much money, and a lot of it is ill-gotten wealth. It's better to disperse it as soon as possible. I can help you. Little Ling Mo and Guo Pai looked at almost half of the picture album. Except for that string of Buddhist beads that looked good, Guo Pai really didn't take a fancy to anything else. On the other hand, little Ling Mo had chosen a lot of things. Let's continue looking. Since we're here, we have to bring something back. If there's nothing that we like, we can bid for those antiques and cultural relics. It can be considered as a contribution to the country. Guo Pai then pulled himself together and flipped through the picture album. In the past, a group of guys all chose a barbarian place when they ascended. Isn't it here now? There must be a lot of good things left behind. How can there be nothing here? Guo Pai muttered in a low voice. Then a black box came into view. Shadow Goo box. Haha, it's that thing. I said that it's impossible for there to be nothing good. This was the thing of the great shaman in the past. I wonder if there are any shadow goo worms in it. If there are a few shadow goo worms in it, I will go to Miaojiang to play. That child mother Inyang goo worm made me very unhappy. Guo Pai said secretly in his heart, and then folded the page of the picture album. I really don't know what kind of taste you have. You only look for good-looking women. What kind of things did you choose? A rotten wooden box can make you so happy. Little Ling Mo pouted and said. He chose a necklace on the same page and said that he was going to give it to Sister Yuer. Guo Pai didn't care at all and kept nodding his head. The picture is so small. It seems that Vittorio isn't going to auction this thing as a serious thing. This thing is mine. It's a Xuanwan's flying knife. That year, it broke the sky thunder with one knife. How awesome was that? No wonder Li Xuanhuan was so honest after he ascended to the heaven realm. It turns out that the guy who made his living stayed in the human world. Guo Pai looked at the picture of a flying knife at the bottom of the picture album and couldn't help but say, you read too many wuxia novels. No wonder you knew all kinds of things when you were in Wu Castle High School. Little Li's flying knife? How can this thing be better than a laser gun? Ling Mo muttered in a low voice. Guo Pai gently knocked on Ling Mo's head. These two, then. You can bid for the prayer beads yourself. There are many things that can't be seen clearly in pictures. If we can get these two things this time, this trip to Italy will be worth it. Guo Pai closed the picture album and said with a smile. In the Shadow Goo box, there was also the flying knife that Li Xuanhuan used when he ascended. In the future, he would have to attend more of such auctions. There was no need to worry about having too many good things. When he ascended to the heaven realm, he would be able to be like Taoist Tong Yuan and throw out magic treasures as if they were free. Who cares if it was Heavenly Thunder 6 Wrath or 9 Wrath? With more than 1,000 auction items, the scale of this auction wasn't small. Guo Pai and Ling Mo stared at these pictures for almost 3 hours. After they finished looking, Vittorio came to their residence again. Mo Beifong didn't follow him. Mo Gu is fascinated by the beautiful scenery of Naples. I guess we will have to wait until the day of the auction to see him again. I wonder what Brother Guo Pai and Miss Nangong like. Just tell me, and I will take care of the rest, Vittorio said with a smile. Men are all bad. Going out to find a woman becomes admiring the beautiful scenery. What beautiful scenery is there to admire in Naples? And you, Mr. Vittorio, at least get rid of these long strands of hair on your body. You're a blonde beauty, right? Ling Mo stood on the bed and reached out to remove the strands of long blonde hair on Vittorio's clothes. Ahem, Miss Nangong really wronged me. But Mo Lao Gu is talking business with a few models, so we may have to wait. Vittorio said with a slightly red face. This little girl was really invincible. Mr. Vittorio, don't worry about the little girl. Take a look at these two things and see if you can help me. If you can't, I will come to the auction myself. Guopai handed over the picture album with a smile. Chapter 424. Vittorio took the album and frowned. Guopai had only chosen 2 items, but the owners of these 2 items were very influential. He was afraid that he wasn't qualified to communicate with them. He would have to ask his father to help him. However, he didn't expect that Guopai would choose these 2 items. Brother, what's wrong? Are these 2 items difficult to obtain? If it's really not possible, I can just buy them myself during the auction. The price shouldn't be too high, Guopai said with a smile. Bad brother, you really have a good eye. This isn't a matter of money. The owners of these 2 items are a little difficult to deal with. I'll ask my father first. If he can handle it, I'll ask him for help. If he can't, I'll find a way to buy them at the auction. Since you've chosen them, I'll definitely get them for you, Vittorio said with a smile. He couldn't understand why this Chinese man would choose these 2 items, which didn't seem to be anything good, when there were more than 1,000 items in the auction. After walking out of the room, Vittorio directly dialed his father's number. Old Vittorio was also surprised. The owner of these 2 items was none other than Guopai. It was the 8-winged angel Raphael. These 2 items were provided by him for this auction. Lord Bishop, what do you think we should do if we put these 2 items up for auction? Didn't you say that these 2 items are difficult to buy with money? In an ancient castle in Naples, Raphael whispered to an old man. I've seen the list of people participating in this auction. There are many Huaxia people. They might be interested in these 2 items. These 2 items need to be brought to Huaxia. This is the safest way to enter Huaxia, the old man said softly. Wouldn't that be letting Huaxia off too easily? Raphael asked, puzzled. The matter of the 6-winged angel Celia hasn't been resolved yet. Huaxia's special ability martial arts will cause us a lot of losses this time. Huaxia's people? That's right. I want to benefit Huaxia. It's best if Celia can get these 2 items in the end. It'll be interesting then. After the old man finished speaking, Raphael didn't say anything else. The old man disappeared from the room, and the entire castle was dead silent. Dad, what do you think? Are those 2 things done? Vittorio asked softly when he received a call from his father around 10 p.m. It belongs to the Holy See. They don't agree to private transactions. I guess I'll have to bid for it at the auction. Those damn bastards are always like this. They don't give me any face. Old Vittorio roared on the other end of the phone. Little Vittorio naturally didn't say anything. After comforting his father, he went to Guopai's place again. Brother Guopai, I'm very sorry. The owner of the 2 items you want doesn't agree to private transactions. We'll have to wait until the auction to settle it, Vittorio said somewhat embarrassedly. Guopai nodded lightly, indicating that it didn't matter. He chatted with Vittorio for a while. Because they had to prepare for the auction tomorrow, Vittorio didn't stay for too long and directly went back. They don't agree to private transactions and don't give the Ivan clan any face. It seems that the owner of these 2 items has some background, Guopai said to himself as he watched Vittorio walk away. Early the next morning, Guopai saw Mo Beifong. With a glance, he immediately knew what this old man had done. His waist was sore and weak. It seemed that this old man really had a good day. Fortunately, he had the strength of a late Xiantian realm master. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to stand up this morning. Mo Go, it's not easy to get up in the morning, Guopai said jokingly. Mo Beifong didn't blush. A real man dared to take responsibility for his actions. Brother, there's no other way. In order to raise the prestige of my country, I can only sacrifice myself. How's the preparation for today's auction going? If you don't have money, Big Brother has it. Just tell me how much you need, Mo Beifong said with a smile. I don't need your money. Raising the prestige of my country? Don't tell me that it's a tip from someone after a night of tormenting. Little Ling, Mo, continued to maintain an attitude of not giving up until he said something shocking. With one sentence, Mo Beifong's face turned red. The housekeeper beside Vittorio couldn't help but laugh. Then, he translated little Ling Mo's words to Vittorio. Vittorio also laughed, because there really was a blonde beauty who gave Mo Beifong a big red packet because of his performance yesterday. You've lost your face overseas. When we return to the capital, Big Brother Tung Fei and the others will give you a good lesson. Little Ling Mo continued. Little Ling Mo continued. If it wasn't for Guo Pao holding him back, who knew what this little girl would say? The few of them entered an ancient castle not far from Ivan's manor. Bad brother, this place is not bad, right? In order to obtain this ancient castle, Big Brother spent a lot of money. Let's go in. We can take a look at the auction items now. Other than the two things you chose, if there's anything else you want, I'll definitely help you get it, Vittorio said softly. Okay, if there's anything that catches my eye, I won't be polite with Big Brother. Also, there's one more thing. I'll have a trouble, Big Brother, to keep the snow muscle pill that I gave Big Brother a secret. This thing is a secret of the sect and shouldn't appear in an auction overseas. Guopai whispered. Vittorio naturally knew the value of this pill. He had to be friends with Guopai. Bad brother, let's go this way. It wasn't a long road. There was a sentry post every 3 steps. There was a high-tech security door every 8 or 9 meters. It was a distance of nearly 100 meters. The few of them walked for 5 minutes before they reached the place. Bad brother, come in. 90% of today's auction items are here. If there's anything you want, just say it. Brother Mo, if there's anything you want, Big Brother will give you 3 free items. Big Brother won't take a single cent of the tip you received yesterday. That was earned through your hard work, Vittorio said jokingly. Fortunately, this was Italy. If it wasn't for Mo Beifong, he would have already flipped out. Since Big Brother Vittorio says so, then I won't be polite. When you gave little brother Guopai the album yesterday, I saw a few good things. I don't know if they're here. Mo Beifong said with a smile. Vittorio asked the servants to help Mo Beifong. 2 pieces of ancient jade and a piece of Wang Shiji's calligraphy were taken away by Mo Beifong. Vittorio didn't feel bad about it. It was worth tens of millions. There was no need to feel bad about it. Bad brother, you really don't want to pick a few items? After about 10 minutes, Vittorio and the others could clearly see the situation of the auction. Many people had already arrived. As the organizer of this auction, Vittorio needed to go out and take a look. Big brother, you're opening the door to do business. Since Mo Laoge has already taken, I won't take any more. If there's something I like, I'll buy it myself. This little girl is prepared to buy a lot of things this time, Guopai said with a smile. Then I won't be polite with Miss Nangong. After all, Miss Nangong is now a billionaire sitting on $100 billion. Speaking of which, the assets I can use in the Ivan family are not as much as Miss Nangong. Vittorio said with a smile. Guopai didn't take anything, which made him think highly of Guopai again. Ahem, big brother, what do you mean? Where did this little girl get so much money? Mo Beifong suddenly froze. His paradise on Earth and other assets added together were only $10 billion. Even if the Nangong family doted on this little girl, they couldn't give her so much money at once. Country bumpkin. Chapter 425. On the surface, Mo Beifong was considered a rich man in Huaxia. However, compared to the real rich, his money was nothing. After the Super Ability Martial Arts Tournament, a live broadcast link was sold for $20 billion. Naturally, Mo Beifong was reluctant to watch a tournament that had nothing to do with him. Of course, he did not know that Ling Mo had won nearly $100 billion in a single martial arts tournament. Ahem, Ling Mo, I didn't expect that after so many years in the capital, I'm still not as good as you. In the future, when you go to Paradise on Earth, I won't be able to give you a free meal, Mo Beifong said with a smile. When we go back this time, we'll bring a few chefs from the Las Vegas Hilton Hotel back to Huaxia. We'll open a restaurant opposite your Paradise on Earth. When the time comes, it's hard to say if your restaurant will still have people to eat there, Ling Mo said with a smile. Little Ling Mo said with a smile. Mo Beifong was speechless. He knew the chef of the Las Vegas Hilton Hotel. If this chef went to China, It will be difficult for him to do business in the future. Let's go to the auction. Little girl, don't bully Mo Lao Go. You have a lot of things to bid for today, but don't blindly bid. You've seen the difference between the real thing and the pictures. Guopai said with a smile. The three of them followed behind Vittorio and walked into the auction through a secret door. That little girl from Huaxia actually came to Italy. Where's that Nangong Hao? My angel's sword. The moment Ling Mo appeared at the auction, Raphael, who was sitting in the private room, suddenly stood up. During the battle in Las Vegas, Guopai had destroyed his angel's sword, which made him very unhappy. However, he did not recognize that the person beside Ling Mo was Nangong Hao, who had made him suffer a great loss back then. The moment Raphael stood up, Guopai also discovered Raphael's existence. Enemies were bound to meet on a narrow road. Last time, he didn't get rid of this guy. This time, he had to find a way to take him down. No matter what reason they had for capturing his aunt and making her their coolie, this Raphael deserved to die. Naturally, Vittorio didn't notice any changes in Guopai. He arranged for Guopai and the other two to sit in his box, then bid farewell to Guopai and went backstage. After all, as the host of the auction, he had to be present. You guys can go out. There's no need for anyone to serve here. Vittorio walked out, and little Ling Mo directly drove out the four blonde European beauties with big breasts and big butts. Guopai's lips curled into a slight smile, and Mo Bifong's face darkened. What's wrong, Mo to go? Are you feeling bad for them? Actually, I'm also thinking for them. Look, they're wearing so little. What if they catch a cold? Also, if they're here, they'll definitely affect your auction. Brother Mo Go, you don't have to thank me. The auction is about to start, little Ling Mo said with a smile. About half an hour later, more and more people came into the castle. Guopai saw many familiar faces, such as the explosive Bear Chusov, the Japanese Captain Yamamoto, Korea's Kim Chong-lai and Kim Shwani, the magician Monty William, and a few rich businessmen from Huaxia. The people who had made a bet with him in Las Vegas were also here. Mo Go, this auction is really extravagant, Guopai said with a smile. Of course, that's right. Brother, you don't know this, but if you want to enter this auction, you have to provide proof that you're worth more than 10 billion USD. There will be a special organization to verify your assets. This is the first step. Then, you have to pay 1 million USD as an entry ticket. If you want to bring someone in, each person will have to pay 2 million USD. You could do the math. This castle can accommodate more than 10,000 people, and the entrance fee alone is tens of billions. The Ivan family in Italy is definitely this rich, Mo Beifong said with an envious look. Guopai nodded lightly. With a bang, the dark castle became as bright as day. Guopai couldn't help but nod. It was indeed impressive. It was only at that moment that he realized that the interior of the castle was indeed impressive. The interior of the castle was a fusion of various styles from all over the world. Guopai was even able to see that the walls of the small box they were in were actually Van Gogh's original works. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming to Naples again to participate in the Ivan auction. This time, we will auction 1533 items. The rules are the same as before. Everyone can swipe their cards next to their seats. If you bid for something, you can swipe your card directly. The Ivan family doesn't accept credit, Vittorio said loudly. There was a murmur in the hall. Vittorio, we have never owed the Ivan family any money. We hope that the auction items this time will be as good as always. However, the picture album you sold us for $1 million only had 1,200 items. What happened to the other 300 items? Don't you think you should give us an explanation? A bearded man asked loudly in the audience. Maybe no one knew him, but everyone knew the woman in revealing clothes beside him. She was a popular actress in the United States. No one would have thought that this actress would stick to the bearded man's arms like a little bird. Mr. Videnko, I didn't expect the beauty in your arms to change again. Miss Jewin, in fact, you have a better choice. I don't know why you like this bearded man. Vittorio said with a smile on the stage. If you want to walk around Naples after the auction, I can accompany Miss Jewin. Thank you for your kindness, Mr. Vittorio, but Scott and I are truly in love. If you want me to stay in Naples and have fun, you have to ask my lover's permission, Juin said with a smile. Of course, she couldn't tell him that this bearded man would give her $10 million if she accompanied Scott for a week. Then forget it. I know Videnko very well. He won't give away his beloved things to others, Vittorio said with a smile. Juin wasn't angry when she heard others compare her to things, because she didn't have the right to be angry with this cynical man in front of her. Now, let me return to Mr. Videnko's question. The picture album was sent to you 10 days ago. In the next 10 days, in order to let you buy more and better things, our Ivan family collected more than 300 auction items from all over the world. I can tell you that this time, one of the auction items is the snow muscle pill from Huaxia. I think all the ladies present have heard of it. I hope you don't miss this opportunity, Vittorio said loudly. The snow muscle pill was good, but Vittorio was wrong about one thing. Not only did all the women present know about the snow muscle pill, but all the men present had also heard of it. It was a miracle medicine from Huaxia. Not only could it keep women young and cure dark spots, but it could also give men unexpected effects. Vittorio, I hope you haven't been deceived by the cunning people of Huaxia. I've been to Huaxia, and the snow muscle pill auction in Huaxia is not allowed to leave the country. Every snow muscle pill is recorded in Huaxia. I don't know how your Ivan family got it. A rich Southeast Asian businessman stood up and asked, how can you understand the ability of our Ivan family? I can tell you that we not only brought the snow muscle pill from Huaxia, but also the meridian opening pill. But I'm very sorry, I've already eaten the meridian opening pill, Vittorio said with a smile. His palms slammed on the auction table on the stage, and the whole table turned into powder. Chapter 426. Oh my God! When did Vittorio become so powerful? I remember that he was just a guy who was hollowed out by a woman. How is that possible? There must be something wrong with that table. The crowd began to discuss. Many of them knew Vittorio, and Vittorio wasn't so powerful before. This is Huaxia's internal strength. It seems that this guy really took Huaxia's magic medicine, Yamamoto whispered under the stage. Vittorio, I believe what you said, but let's not waste everyone's time now. Let's hurry up and start today's auction. I've prepared $10 billion, and I hope I can spend it all this time. The rich businessman from Southeast Asia shouted, and the others nodded. Vittorio's lips curled into a smile. Ivan's auction began. As soon as the voice fell, Vittorio walked down the rostrum and went straight to his box. A beautiful blonde woman appeared on the rostrum. Brother bad guy, wipe your saliva. Did you forget Sister Yuer's words again? Little Ling and Mo looked at Guopai and couldn't help but say. However, Guopai wasn't the only one staring. Mo Beifong was also staring at the stage without blinking. How is it? Alice is not bad, right? Vittorio walked into the box and said with a smile when he saw Mo Beifong's expression. Chick, 10 million. How about spending a night with me after the auction? A rich man in the front row shouted. Alice wasn't angry. She shook her head gently. Her professional attire dazzled the group of people in the front row. Mr. Jet, I hope you can buy what you like at this auction. If you want to treat Alice to a meal, I can consider it. But if you want to do something else, I think Mr. Jet had better discuss it with Mr. Vittorio, because I work for him. Alice's words made Jet quiet down. She was the woman of the son of a mafia boss. Although they were rich, they really didn't want to live long enough. Miss Alice, we're still looking forward to this auction. Let's hurry up and start the auction, Jet said with a smile. The momentum he had just now was gone. Let's start the auction. Next is the first item, a white tiger skin. This tiger skin is slightly different from the ones usually auctioned. You can take a look for yourself. This tiger skin has no flaws, not even a needle hole. This tiger skin was peeled off when the tiger was alive, so the fur on this tiger skin will not fall off. Alice said with a smile. A few people used tools to pick up the tiger skin. There was a 3D image of the tiger skin on the rostrum. It's really good stuff. To be able to skin a tiger alive, the owner of this tiger skin is definitely not simple. A few old people were whispering under the stage. The starting price is $3 million. Each increment must be no less than $100,000. Let's begin, Alice said with a smile. 5 million. This tiger skin is not bad. I think if I can put it in the living room of my new house, I think it will be good. An old man around 60 years old said with a smile. 6 million. This kind of thing shouldn't be trampled on the ground. It should be of greater use. A young man not far from the old man said with a smile. 8 million. I'm already at this age. I usually get what I want, the old man said with a smile. 10 million. Sometimes you may not be able to get what you want. Young people all know this, the young man said with a smile. 15 million. The old man didn't say much. After shouting the price, he looked at the young man with a smile. A perfect tiger skin. I'm afraid there's only one in the world. 20 million. The young man said with a smile. The old man couldn't help but shake his head. He shouted 15 million. The old man already knew that he was shouting emotionally. Shouting 20 million was completely beyond the scope of what the old man could afford. After all, although he was rich, no one's money came from the wind. The old man gave up. 20 million going thrice. Congratulations to Mr. Regis for winning the first item of this auction. As a reward, we will give Mr. Regis a 50% discount. You only need to pay us 10 million, and this perfect tiger skin is yours. Alice said with a smile. The young man took out a black card and swiped it on the stool next to him. 10 million was transferred, and the tiger skin was his. What is the Ivan family doing? They gave Regis a 50% discount. This is not old Vittorio's style. The crowd started to talk. In the past, there had been discounts for the first auction, but generally, the biggest discount was not more than 10%. They didn't expect a 50% discount this time. After a while, I'll go to Ukraine to get something. It's always right to have a good relationship with the son of the Ukrainian foreign minister. 10 million is the price of a few armored vehicles, Vittorio said with a smile. Vittorio said with a smile. He was going to Ukraine to get some things. Other than guns, what else could he get? Guopai and Mo Beifeng naturally wouldn't say these things. Being able to openly hold a black market auction in Italy was something that couldn't be done without the support of some guns and ammunition. The second item is from the mysterious Huaxia. It's a piece of ancient jade from the Han Dynasty. The gold symbolizes wealth and safety. This piece of ancient jade has been appraised by the auctioneer. It is indeed a piece of ancient jade from the Han Dynasty. The starting price is $1 million, and each increment must be no less than $10,000. Let's begin, Alice said with a smile. $1.5 million. A Jean businessman from Huaxia smiled and said, My father is quite knowledgeable about ancient jade from the Han Dynasty. I believe that the items in the Ivan auction are all authentic. $2 million. Chun, I'm sorry, but I also want this piece of ancient jade from Huaxia. I hope you can sell it to me. Huaxia has a lot of these things. Give it to me, a white man said with a smile. Wales, if you buy this item, you might not be able to handle it well. There are many theories about ancient jade like this. If you really want it, I won't fight with you. Huaxia, who always cared about his reputation, didn't increase the price, which stunned the group. $2 million. Is there anyone higher? If not, this piece of ancient jade belongs to Mr. Wales, Alice said with a smile. Alice said with a smile. Guopao nodded in the private room. The Huaxia man with the surname Chun offered a price of $5 million, which was already not low. This piece of ancient jade was indeed from the Han Dynasty, but it could be seen from the picture that the quality of the ancient jade was ordinary. Wales's offer of $2 million was a bit high. Besides, when it came to Panyu, there were indeed many theories. Chun, after the auction, I still have to learn more about ancient jade from you. I hope you can come to my manor as a guest, Wales said with a smile. Wales said with a smile. Spending $2 million to buy a piece of ancient jade was just a small amount of money to him. He didn't mind spending more or less. At this moment, Guopao suddenly realized why such a black market auction was favored by so many people. Not only could they buy the things they wanted here, but they could also form a cooperative relationship with rich people from all over the world. Why wouldn't they want to do it? The third item is an early sketch of Picasso. There are 7 pieces in total. 3 of them have been confirmed as authentic works by Mr. Picasso. The appraisers have some objections to the other 4. Friends who like to collect them can come up and take a look. Of course, if you come up and look at the drawings, it's $100,000 per person, Alice said with a smile. Brother Vittorio, it'll cost money to appraise them for you. Chapter 427. Brother, this is your first time participating in an auction. Actually, the $100,000 won't be given to the auction house. If you can tell us the authenticity of the item you want to appraise, and if the others don't agree, then everyone's appraisal fee will be given to you, Vittorio said with a smile. This method is not bad, right? Guapai gave him a thumbs up and smiled. This method of appraisal was really good. It could save the appraisal fee and improve the reputation of the auction house. Hi, really high. After Alice finished speaking, a few people walked up to the rostrum. 3 minutes later, a middle-aged man with glasses judged the authenticity of the 4 sketches. The others gave him the thumbs up. 3 were real and 1 was fake. The auction house didn't lose anything. The $100,000 of the others went to the middle-aged man, and no one said anything. Mr. Schroeder, 18 million. Is there anyone who wants to go higher? If not, these 6 sketches of Mr. Picasso will go to Mr. Schroeder, Alice said with a smile. Ling Mo pouted. Wasn't it just a few sketches? The price was so high. He couldn't believe it. The auction progressed quickly. After the 30 items were auctioned, Alice went backstage. When she came up again, she changed her clothes. The whole auction house was in an uproar again. Guapai nodded with a smile. He suddenly thought of the quadruplet sisters in Las Vegas. I was thinking that if Miss Alice hosted a normal auction alone, she wouldn't be able to take it. I didn't expect you to have something else prepared, Vittorio said with a smile. Guapao said with a smile. Vittorio's eyes widened. Very few people knew about the 3 Alice sisters, and he didn't expect Guapao to recognize Emma as soon as she went on stage. Brother, you have a good eye. That was Alice just now, and now it's Emma. There's another girl backstage called Elisa. They're triplets. Each person will auction 30 items in rotation. This way, it won't be too tiring, Vittorio said with a smile. Guapai nodded. Ling Mo's beautiful eyes widened. Her meaning was clear. Little girl, stop staring. There's something you like in the next auction. Don't miss it, Guapai reminded her with a smile. Little Ling Mo looked at the rostrum. The next item is also a piece of ancient jade from Huaxia. The base price is $3 million, and each increment must be no less than $30,000. Let's begin, Emma said with a smile. Miss Alice, this piece of ancient jade looks about the same as the previous one, but its size is smaller than the previous one. I wonder why the starting price of this piece of ancient jade is 3 times higher than the previous one. An Indian merchant in the middle said with a smile as Emma's voice trailed off. It's not easy for me to answer this question. Many of these base prices were set by the appraisers of the auction. If anyone here can give a satisfactory answer, Alice is willing to personally take out $500,000 as thanks, Emma said with a smile. She was already familiar with the situation in front of her. Naturally, it was Vittorio who asked them to call her Alice. Naturally, she didn't have to fork out the $500,000. A few people were eager to give a try. However, in front of so many people, many of them wanted to back out. It would be fine if they could convince everyone, but if they didn't, it would be embarrassing. What's so hard to say about this item? Let me tell everyone. The first piece of ancient jade is that piece of Han Dynasty jade. It's a burial item, something worn by the dead. The quality of the jade itself is also ordinary. The piece of ancient jade being auctioned now is a decorative item. I can't tell its age, but anyway, it's not something taken out from a coffin, and its quality is much higher than the first piece. Can everyone understand this explanation? Little Ling Mo walked out of the box with a microphone in his hand and said loudly. A group of people looked over. Naturally, little Ling Mo wasn't afraid. After all, he was the champion of the special ability martial arts tournament. This kind of scene was nothing to him. Guapai nodded slightly. Although little Ling Mo's explanation was very rough, it was good that he pointed out the fundamental differences between the 2 pieces of jade. He also explained the reason for the base price of $3 million. A few Huaxia people and some people who studied Huaxia ancient jade nodded. They also had the same idea, but they couldn't say it in front of so many people. Thank you for your explanation, little girl. Since everyone agrees with this explanation, Alice's 500,000 will be given to this little girl, Emma said with a smile. Sister Alice, you don't have to rush to give you the money. The base price is 3 million, and I'll pay 5 million. This decorative item looks good in my bedroom, but it won't look good in your European and American-style bedroom. Everyone, please don't fight with me for it, the little girl said with a smile. Needless to say, the little girl really won the ancient jade for $5 million. Originally, a few people wanted to fight for it, but they were all stopped by the people around them. Not to mention other things, the fact that this little girl was able to come out of Vittorio's box showed that she wasn't ordinary. This is a piece of raw jade. We can't guarantee whether there's anything in it, but this stone was indeed sent here from Huaxia's Taiyuan pit. The base price is $1 million. Everyone can bet on it, Emma said with a smile. Brother, you guys are also bidding for this thing. Can I go up and take a look? There are still a few hundred items before the Shadow Goo box. Let's go and take a look. Maybe I can pick up something good. Just go up. Everyone in the room can go up. If anyone else wants to see it, they'll have to pay a fee. However, according to the results of our auction house, it's very likely that there's nothing inside this stone. I'm just giving you a heads up, Vittorio said with a smile. Guopao nodded lightly and walked down. I'll go and take a look too. A young man in the box next to him also walked down. Not long after, 12 people left the 36 luxury boxes. Little Ling, Imo naturally didn't go down. What was there to see about a stone? She was now wondering if Big Brother Bad Guy went there for the beauty. Fortunately, Guopai didn't know what the little girl was thinking. Otherwise, he would definitely knock on the little girl's head again. Damn, it can't be so coincidental. Just by looking at a random stone, I can find a first-class jade. Take it. This good thing can't be left to this group of foreigners. Guopai walked to the rostrum and simply looked at the texture of the stone. Suddenly, he came to a conclusion. What? Taking out a broken stone to auction? Sigh. The young man sighed and went back to the box. However, there were two people who seemed to have done some research on raw stones and were ready to buy it. Big Brother Bad Guy, I remember that you have a lot of jade. Are you still going to bid for this stone? Little Ling, Mo asked with a smile when Guopai walked into the box. Of course. I just looked at the stone. It looks okay. There should be something inside. If I can get it for 10 million USD, I won't lose money. Guopai said with a smile. Vittorio stared at the stone. They thought that it would be good enough if this stone didn't go unsold. They didn't expect that Guopai would say that he wouldn't lose money for 10 million USD. 1,200,000. I've heard that Huaxia has a jade mountain, but I haven't had the time to go there. Today, I want to buy this stone to practice, a black man said with a smile. 1,500,000 Jefferson. I'm really sorry. I feel like this stone is calling to me. I want to buy it and gamble. A white man next to the black man said loudly. 5 million. Guopao said loudly in the private room. The two people who were arguing directly sat down on their seats. They could take out 2 or 3 million to bet, but they really didn't have the courage to take out 5 million to bet on a stone. Young master, the Huaxia man in Vittorio's box is not simple. He bid 5 million. I feel that there might be something good in the stone. An old man in a box next to Guopai's box said softly. 7 million. When a young man heard the old man say so, he didn't hesitate and directly increased the price by 2 million. Guopai was stunned. Wasn't this young man not interested just now? Why did he suddenly increase the price? Chapter 428. 8 million. Guopai couldn't help but shake his head and say, the jade inside was almost at level 2. Because it wasn't a stone, Guopai didn't know what kind of jade it was. If he used his perception to sense it, he would definitely be able to sense it. However, this kind of thing would consume his perception, so it wasn't worth it. 9 million. The person in the box next to him said unhurriedly. Guopai could feel that the young man in the box was serious. 9 million USD was already not a low price. Guopai thought for a while and didn't know how to increase the price. After all, he was here to Taobao. There were some dispensable things, so it was fine if he didn't want them. Although he could make a profit by winning it with 10 million USD, he still had to give others a chance. 15 million. Guopai didn't say anything, but little Ling Mo beside him shouted loudly. The whole auction house was in an uproar. Guopai didn't see that in a particularly inconspicuous corner of the auction house, a woman in her early 20s was excited. Wasn't this person Mu Ningning, the granddaughter of Taiyuan City's Mu Puyu, Miss Mu? I really came to the right place this time. A stone like this actually sold for a sky-high price of 15 million USD. It seems that Europe is starting to accept jade from Huaxia. It's time to open up the European market. Mu Ningning clenched her fist and thought to herself, a stone like this could be sold for 9 million USD in Huaxia, which was already considered a high price. She didn't expect that in Italy, the price would reach 15 million USD after 4 bids. However, things weren't as Mu Ningning thought. If little Ling Mo didn't hear Guopai say that he wouldn't lose 10 million USD, with the little girl's stingy attitude, she definitely wouldn't bid. There was another reason why the little girl called out such a high price. She felt that big brother bad guy wanted it. If he wanted it, he had to get it. It wasn't like he didn't have money now. Young master, the price of 15 million USD is a bit high, the old man in the box next to him said softly to the young man. 30 million. The young man said softly into the microphone. Everyone in the auction house focused their attention on the box he was in. If it was a piece of precious jade, it would be worth about that much. Then, it wouldn't be a big deal to bid 30 million. However, it was just a big rock that didn't look like anything good. Yet, the price had already reached 30 million. The Ivan auction house had its own rules. If you bid, it meant that you could pay that much money. The upper limit of the 36 boxes was 5 billion US dollars. The upper limit of the first 12 rows was 1 billion US dollars. The middle 12 rows were 500 million US dollars. And as long as the remaining seats were within 50 million US dollars, the Ivan auction house would not interfere. However, there was one point, and that was that the items bought at the Ivan auction house had to be bought. Even if you sold everything you had, you could not owe the Ivan family any money. $30 million had already caused many people in the first 24 rows to widen their eyes. Although they had an upper limit of $50 million, it was difficult for many of them to directly take out $30 million of liquid funds. Some people even began to guess who was in the box. Little girl, don't bid. There's no need to compete with an insensible little guy over a rock. Guopai looked at Ling Mo and said with a smile, 100 million US dollars. Little Ling Mo shook her head and directly shouted a sky-high price of 100 million. Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. Why not? Since Brother Bad Guy wants it, then let's get it. It's not like we don't have money. Little Ling Mo clenched her fist and said. Mo Beifong, who was drinking tea next to her, spat out a mouthful of tea. It seemed that this little girl's money came from the wind. 100 million US dollars, when converted into cash, was much bigger than a rock. Young master. The old man in the box next to Guopai looked at the young man and said softly. He knew the temperament of the young master in front of him. The young man smiled slightly and said softly into the microphone, 150 million. 300 million. Little Ling Mo said with a smile. If it weren't for the big gamble at the mutant martial arts tournament that day, little Ling Mo wouldn't have been able to spend money so easily. He won more than 30 billion in 5 minutes. 500 million. The young man said without thinking. Guopai grabbed the microphone from the little girl. Even if you have money, you can't spend it like this. Little Ling Mo stuck out her tongue and said, Brother Bad Guy, don't worry. 500 million US dollars for a raw stone. The kid in the box next to us is really stupid. Cough, cough, cough. Vittorio and Mo Beifong coughed at the same time. Mo Beifong coughed because of little Ling Mo's words. 500 million US dollars for a raw stone is stupid. My good sister, you've already shouted 300 million US dollars. Is there nothing wrong with your head? Vittorio coughed because he knew the identity of the young man in the box next to them. If he was the underground prince of Italy, then the young man in the box was the underground prince of Italy. He was the youngest son of the Italian president and his only son. Since no one is bidding, this raw stone belongs to young Master Simon, Emma said with a smile. On the stage, Emma said with a smile. The three of them knew very well who the 36 private rooms belonged to. Simon did not hesitate and directly transferred $500 million. The group of people held their breaths. Before some people could even count how many zeros were behind the number 5, Simon had already transferred the money to them. Moon Ningning, who was in the corner, was completely stunned. $500 million, converted into Huaxia yuan, was more than 30 billion Huaxia yuan. It was more than 50 times the price she expected. Excluding the 10% commission from the auction, she had made a lot of platinum this time. Grandpa Lev, please contact Uncle Vittorio. I want to open the stone on the spot. Just smile. Why are you pulling such a long face? It's just $500 million. You could deduct it from my family's shares. Grandpa used to say that we should have the spirit of adventure in everything we do, Simon said with a smile. That's right. Simon's grandfather wasn't a politician back then. He was a true adventurer who had acquired tens of billions of assets at sea. That's right. Simon Marco was the most famous pirate in Italy back then. Of course, no one dared to say that Simon Marco was a pirate now. He was now known as the greatest adventurer in Italian history. Old Lev didn't say anything. He walked straight out of the box and went straight into Vittorio's box. First, he wanted to talk to Vittorio about Simon opening the stone. Second, he wanted to see who the little girl who had been bidding with Simon was. Uncle Lev, little Simon is the same as before, but you can tell him that I can give him a 30% discount for the price of the raw stone this time. Vittorio saw Lev walk into the box and said with a smile. Although the 30% discount made him extremely reluctant, compared with the benefits of having a good relationship with the Simon family, this money was nothing. Boo! The Simon family can still afford this money. Young Master Simon asked me to tell you that he wants to open the stone. You should have ready-made tools here, right? Can you prepare them for him? Lev said with a smile. Vittorio shrugged his shoulders and nodded. It's good that your Simon family doesn't lack money. This way, I'll be able to save another 100 million. Vittorio picked up the phone and made a call. The tools to open the stone have already been prepared. Dear Miss, welcome to Italy. I believe you will have a good experience. Lev looked at Little Ling and said with a smile. He thought it would be a young lady of the Ivan family, but it turned out to be a Huaxia. Lev also knew that the provider of the raw stone was also a Huaxia. He couldn't help but wonder if they had colluded to cheat young Master Simon. Chapter 429. Guopai narrowed his eyes when he heard Lev's words. Guopai naturally understood what he meant. It was a good experience. From Huaxia to the United States, it had been a good experience for more than a month. Could there be a better experience in Italy? Vittorio naturally understood the hidden meaning in Lev's words. He looked back at Guopai's expression and secretly said in his heart, oh no, Guopai's identity had been known by Vittorio through various channels. He was the grandson of the top academician in Huaxia. He had a good relationship with the T-Rex group in Huaxia. The little girl who won the individual competition in the supernatural ability martial arts competition regarded him as her brother. With these identities alone, Vittorio and the Simon family could not afford to offend him. Uncle Lev, come here. I have something to say to you. Vittorio pulled Lev outside and told him the origin of Ling Mo. Lev hurriedly returned to the box. This little girl definitely had nothing to do with the owner of the raw stone. He had to remind the young master not to provoke this little girl. The auction hosted by Elio was still going on, but the corner of the rostrum was full of tools to understand the raw stone. Simon had already walked to the corner of the rostrum. I'll go and have a look. It should be fine. Although Vittorio had already told Lev about Ling Mo, Guashao didn't think so. Since Ling Mo wanted to bully him, then don't blame him for being rude. Besides, if he wanted to get something good out of this stone, he needed some skills. Maybe he could get something good out of it. Vittorio nodded with a smile, but he still followed Guopai to the raw stone on the rostrum. Elio was also not in the auction. She also wanted to see if there was anything good in the raw stone that Simon had bought for 500 million yuan. Ling Mo, don't you want to go out and have a look? The price was so high just now. Mo Beifong looked at Ling Mo, who was busy for a while, and asked with a smile. Since Big Brother Bad Guy is going, I won't be going. If there are any benefits, it definitely won't escape Big Brother Bad Guy's grasp. Little Ling Ma said with a smile. She was playing with the jade pendant that she had just won. She was very happy to be able to spend her own money to buy something that she liked. Simon, let me introduce you to Huaxia's friend, Guo Pai. Brother, this is Simon, who has been fighting with Xia Shaluo for a long time. If something really happens in Italy, he will be of great help. Vittorio tried his best to maintain the relationship between the two of them. The two of them looked at each other indifferently and didn't say anything. Brother Simon, this stone cutting is very particular. Do you need me to briefly explain it to you? Guo Pai said with a smile. Simon shrugged, and then stood beside a pile of stone cutting tools. This raw stone was not small, almost a ton in weight. It would not be easy to open it. Guo Pai, why is he in Italy? Is he involved in this raw stone too? 500 million US dollars. I thought I earned money from a foreigner, but it turns out I earned money from one of our own. Mu Ningning couldn't help but think to herself when she saw Guo Pai on the VIP platform. However, when Simon picked up a huge electric drill to cut the stone, Mu Ningning's heart calmed down. This raw stone was definitely not bought by Guo Pai. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used such a method to cut it open, meeting an old friend in a foreign land. Speaking of which, when they were at Taiyuan, the two of them were a little ambiguous. Mu Ningning's face turned red as she thought about it. Peter, cut this big stone from the middle. Isn't stone gambling a cut to hell or heaven? I like to see if this cut can send me to hell or heaven. Simon used the electric drill to cut the stone a few times, almost hurting himself. He directly handed the electric drill to a big guy beside him. The big guy stood beside the stone and inserted the electric drill into the middle of the stone. After a few minutes of buzzing, the stone cracked open. The middle of the stone was still stone. The group of people widened their eyes. There's nothing. It wasn't clear who said it, but then the audience started to discuss. 500 million US dollars to buy a stupid stone. Many people knew this young man, so naturally they couldn't say anything. However, they were somewhat gloating. Young master, there's nothing, Peter whispered. Cut the two stones on the ground from the middle. If there's still nothing, then it means that God isn't on my side today. Simon said with a smile. He wasn't depressed at all because the raw stone he spent 500 million US dollars to buy didn't have any jade. Peter cut the two raw stones on the ground again. One of them had nothing, but the other had a piece of jade with a diameter of more than 20 centimeters. Its quality was almost level 3. Simon smiled happily. Although this piece of jade could only be sold for about 10 million yuan at most, and it was still in Chinese currency, it did not affect the young man's mood at all. Not bad. I'll ask Uncle Sam to carve a statue for me. Hee. As he said that, Simon took the jade, mixed with some stones, and prepared to return to the box. Little brother, there are some stones on your jade. I know a little about grinding stones. Why don't I help you grind it? It'll be easier for you to carry it. Guo Pai said with a smile. Vittorio didn't understand what Guo Pai meant. Simon thought about it and handed the jade, mixed with stones, to Guo Pai. Guo Pai picked up a small grinding tool. In about 3 minutes, he had cleaned the stones around the jade. He didn't touch the jade at all and handed it directly to Simon. Amazing. You're much better than Peter. His hand was shaking just now. Simon said with a smile, if you encounter any problems in Italy, you can mention my name. If someone gives you trouble, you can ask Brother Vittorio to tell me. Vittorio took a deep breath. It was best if the two of them didn't have any conflicts. However, Guo Pai stepped forward and stopped Simon. Vittorio's heart, which had just calmed down, rose again. Is there anything else you want? Simon frowned and asked with a trace of displeasure. Although he didn't care about money, he didn't feel good about spending 500 million US dollars on such a stone. Many people in the audience were looking at him with an attitude of watching a show. Little brother, don't you want to try the rest of the stones? Guo Pai asked with a smile. Simon looked at the few pieces of stones on the ground and shook his head. If you want, just give me 100 million US dollars and this thing is yours. Little Simon was just joking. He didn't expect Guopai to nod and agree. Even little Ling Mo, who was in the box, spat out the drink in his stomach. It's over, it's over. If I don't keep an eye on Brother Bad Guy, there's something wrong with his head again. He just told me that this thing is worth at most 10 million US dollars. That kid has already opened the jade. Why would he spend 100 million US dollars to buy a pile of broken stones? Little Ling Mo said loudly. Vittorio couldn't understand why Guopai would do this. Mu Ningning, who was in the corner of the auction house, opened her eyes wide. She knew how good Guopai was at stone gambling. However, the raw stones were already in such a state. Was he still planning to pick up some scraps? If you really want to buy it, then I'll give these to you. We can talk about the money later, Little Simon said with a smile. Little Simon said with a smile. He thought that Guopao might have a favor to ask of him and was willing to spend $100 million to befriend him. Naturally, he would not slap a smiling face. At the same time, he gave Guopao a way out. No, no, no. We Huaxia people like to do business with money and goods. I'll transfer the money to you now. After Guopai finished speaking, Vittorio gave Emma a look. Emma took out a small handheld computer, and Guopai directly transferred 100 million US dollars to Simon's account. Crazy Huaxia people. Chapter 430. Simon watched as Guopai transferred the money to his card. In his heart, he had already listed Guopai as a good friend. Although 100 million US dollars was nothing to him, who would complain about having too little money? Bad guy, do you still want to continue opening the rest of the stones? Simon asked with a smile. He was originally standing on the stage awkwardly, but now it was much better because the people who were talking about him were now talking about the Huaxia in front of him. Open it, Brother Simon. If you really open something good later, it will be mine, Guopai's. Guopai said with a smile. Simon shrugged his shoulders. Whatever it is, it will be yours. After all, this stone has already been bought by you. Do you think that Huaxia can really pick up a treasure from a pile of open stones? A middle-aged man on the stage asked with a smile. Regetta, you don't understand. This Huaxia is really scheming. Don't you know who that young man is? Little Simon, Simon Marco's grandson. Spending 100 million US dollars to build a good relationship with Little Simon is definitely worth it. A middle-aged man under the stage said softly. Many people around him nodded. Think about it. The Simon family casually gave them some projects, and it was enough for them to eat for a lifetime. 100 million US dollars. What was 100 million US dollars? Now, they were already regretting why they didn't go up. However, Guopai didn't come with such an attitude. When had he ever done a losing deal? The remaining 2 pieces of waste were not small. If Little Simon didn't open the raw stones directly, Guopai wouldn't have discovered it. However, Guopai found some clues from the texture after opening the raw stones. Brother, you open it. I am now looking forward to the things in these waste stones. Little Simon stood to one side with a smile. Guopao picked up a drill from the store and started to drill into a corner of the raw stone. Water, Guopai said with a smile. Guopai wanted to take it, but Little Simon took a water bottle spray gun and sprayed it at Guopai's electric drill. Brother, the color is changing. Stop, Simon said loudly. Guopai nodded, and the drill stopped. There was a fist-sized hole, and they could see what was inside. Bro, you're amazing. You're really amazing. You actually managed to get something out of this trash. Little Simon said with a smile. Although he couldn't see the grade of the jade inside, it seemed to be much better than the jade in his hand. Let me take a look at this piece of jade, was said with a smile. He held a cutting machine in his hand and slowly cut the raw stone. Then, he polished it with a grindstone. After about 10 minutes, a piece of jade that was slightly smaller than the one in Simon's hand was cut out. Brother, what kind of jade is this? It looks ordinary, Simon said with a smile. Guopai didn't explain much. When he was grinding the stone just now, he didn't grind the outer layer of the jade clean. Naturally, it looked ordinary. Brother, when we return to the private room, I'll give you something good, Guopai said with a smile. Simon nodded and watched as Guopai continued to cut the stone. It was similar to the waste just now. The drill went in 7 or 8 centimeters, and there was a change. Guopai spent more than 10 minutes to cut out the jade. Without saying anything, he directly handed the rostrum back to Emma, and the auction continued. Bad guy bro, 100 million US dollars for 2 pieces of jade. If Sister Yer knew about this, she would definitely scold you for being kicked in the head by a donkey. Little Ling, Imo said with a pout when he saw Guopai holding 2 pieces of jade that looked really ordinary. Later, when he saw Simon walk into the private room, he didn't say anything else. Brother Simon, I used to gamble stones in Huaxia and got a few pieces of good material. This pendant is for you. Take it as making friends. Saying this, Guopiao took out a grade 1 jade pendant and handed it to Simon. A grade 1 jade pendant was naturally much better than the jade pendant in Simon's hand. Seeing this, Guopiao's smile bloomed like a flower. We fought for a broken stone for half a day. In the end, you lost hundreds of millions. Bad guy bro also lost 100 million. This time, the owner of the raw stone really benefited. After chatting for a while, the little girl already knew who the young man in front of her was. Because the age difference was not too big, the little girl naturally chatted with Simon. That's right. You can't blame me for this. You're way too good at bidding. Little Simon said with a smile. Sister Ling Imo, do you have a boyfriend? If not, I can temporarily replace you. Guopai and the others heard the conversation between the two and laughed. I treated you as a brother, but I didn't expect that you wanted to hit on me. We can't be brothers anymore. Little Ling Imo said loudly, and the group of people laughed again. Little Simon walked out of the private room with a red face. He was defeated. He was defeated by the little Huaxia girl in front of him. Grandpa Lev, take a look at how much this jade pendant is worth. This scoundrel is not bad. I can't take advantage of him, so as not to provoke others to gossip about our Simon family. Little Simon said, and handed the jade guanine in his hand to Leviticus. Lev was half a Huaxia expert. The moment he saw the jade pendant, his eyes widened. It was a first-class jade, the best of the first-class jade, and the carving was first class. Such a pendant was worth at least $10 million. Lev told Little Simon the value of this pendant. Little Simon said a few words in Lev's ear. Lev nodded and went out. The auction continued. Little Ling Mo successfully took a few things he liked. This time, no one competed with the little girl until the string of Buddhist beads that Guopai had taken a fancy to appeared in front of everyone. We don't know the origin of this string of Buddhist beads. The base price is $100,000. If there's anyone who wants it, you can buy it and study it yourself. Emma said with a smile. Brother Bad Guy, is this what you like? Alas, your taste has always been bad. Little Ling Mo said with a smile. Guopai's eyes fell on the string of beads, and he was a little disappointed. He looked at the picture and thought that it was a good thing, but in fact he was wrong. It was a high-quality imitation. However, one thing made Guopai think more about this string of beads. The person who could imitate this string of Buddhist beads must have seen the real string of beads. Let's buy it first. It would be good if we can find a descendant of the great Buddha. Guopai said to himself, and said $500,000 into the microphone. However, Guopai didn't expect that if he didn't participate, it would be fine. It didn't matter if he shouted $500,000, but in less than a minute, the price of the Buddhist beads had been raised to a high price of $3 million. Take this thing. The people of Huaxia have good taste. This string of Buddhist beads must be good things. Others didn't understand Guopai's 2 pieces of jade just now, but Yamamoto, who had studied jade for many years, saw something. The jade in Guopai's hand had definitely reached the quality of a top-level jade. He might not lose money even if he spent $100 million. $5 million. Little Ling Mo couldn't help but shout and was pulled aside by Guopai. My little lady, don't get involved. Didn't you say that you could buy a string of Buddhist beads in Xia's Liuli Street for $35 to $50? This thing is really fake. Then why did you start bidding? $500,000 to buy this thing. You really don't know how to spend money. Little Ling Mo pouted and said, You can't be Ivan's auction house's contractor, right? Chapter 431. Ahem, little girl, don't talk nonsense if you don't understand. Guopai couldn't help but say. However, Vittorio was in the box, so he couldn't explain the Buddhist beads to Ling Mo. Ling Mo shouted 5 million. So be it. If someone continued to raise the price, they wouldn't raise it. There's definitely something wrong with that string of Buddhist beads. Takeo, Seijo, do you remember that 10 years ago, the people from Kuroyudo got a string of Buddhist beads similar to this one in Huaxia? Later, Akutawa Ryuzo won first place in the martial arts competition in Japan. Yamamoto narrowed his eyes and said, 10 million. I'll pay 10 million. Takeo Seijo shouted after hearing Yamamoto's words. Yamamoto looked at Emma excitedly. Buddhist beads, I must buy this string of Buddhist beads. When little Ling Mo heard the Japanese bid 10 million, he couldn't help but stick out his tongue. However, since his bad brother had already said that it was fake, he definitely wouldn't bid again. 10 million was definitely not worth it to buy 50 yuan worth of prayer beads. 13 million, an Indian monk said loudly. At first, the monk didn't pay much attention to this string of Buddhist beads because he could feel that this string of Buddhist beads didn't have any spiritual power. However, after the Huaxiao man shouted 5 million, the Japanese man followed up with 10 million. He couldn't help but feel that there was something fishy. Could it be a string of sealed Buddhist beads? The monk thought to himself. The Indian monk also saw the trick of this string of Buddhist beads. We can't let that monk take it away. Yamamoto whispered, Lord Seijo, if you can help buy this string of Buddhist beads, our special abilities group will fully support you in the future. 30 million? I'll pay 30 million. When Seijo Takeo heard Yamamoto's words, he immediately doubled the price. The monk was stunned. 30 million. He had saved up a total of 300 million US dollars over the years. If he continued to bid, he didn't know how much money he would need to buy it. The monk thought about it and couldn't help but shake his head. This string of Buddha beads didn't have any spiritual energy, so it might not be a good thing. When the Japanese called out the bid of 30 million, Guopai relaxed his divine sense and observed everyone in the auction hall. Mooningning, I didn't expect her to be here too. Could it be that the raw stone just now is hers? What a steal, but I can't let her take it for free. Doesn't allow him to touch foreign women, but Chinese people shouldn't be a problem, right? Guopai thought, like a stallion. Found him. It's him. 30 million US dollars was too tempting, especially when an item worth less than 50 US dollars was about to be bought by someone for 30 million US dollars. No matter how the person tried to hide it, Guopai still found the owner of this string of Buddhist beads, a young man in his early 20s. Fate with Buddha. It's really fate with Buddha. Whether it's his face or anything else, it's all related to Buddha. Could he be the reincarnation of a great Buddha? Guopai thought to himself with a smile. If he could buy the 2 items he wanted and get this young man to go to Huaxia, this trip to Italy would be worth it. The Japanese called out the sky-high price of 30 million, but the monk didn't continue to bid. In the end, the Japanese bought the 3,000 copies of the string of Buddhist beads. Haha, I was wondering who bought it. Haha, so it's Yamamoto. Guopai saw the Japanese who bought the Buddhist beads respectfully hand them over to a person beside him. Although Yamamoto's clothes had changed a little, a person's aura wasn't that easy to change. Yamamoto, this string of Buddhist beads doesn't seem to be anything special. The Buddhist beads were delivered to Takeo Seijo, who said as he handed it over to Yamamoto, Lord Seijo, you don't understand. This kind of thing is a heavenly treasure. It's not something that will casually make people feel it's magic. I'll accept this string of Buddhist beads. In the future, the Special Abilities Group and your Seijo Chamber of Commerce will be friends forever. As Yamamoto spoke, he took the Buddhist beads into his hand and played with them from time to time. Bad guy. Gee, you're really a bad guy. You've tricked that Japanese. Little Ling Mo naturally saw the smile on the corner of Guopai's mouth and whispered in Guopai's ear. Guopai shrugged his shoulders. What does it have to do with me? They're the ones who are stupid. What can I do? The auction continued. Emma walked to the backstage, and the last of the 3 sisters, Elisa, walked to the rostrum. This item was sent to us by our largest church in Italy. We can't say what it is, but all the proceeds from the auction will be donated. Elisa said with a smile. Bad guy. Gee, the broken box you've taken a fancy to is going to be auctioned. Little Ling, Mo said with a smile. Guopai patted the little girl's head. If the great shaman back then knew that the thing he looked after at home was called a broken box by a little girl, who knows what kind of expression this great shaman would have. Lord Bishop, that box is going to be auctioned. Raphael whispered in the ear of a black-clothed old man. The old man slowly opened his eyes. Well, I hope that someone from Huaxia will take a fancy to this item. As long as they can bring it to Huaxia, Celia's matter will be solved. Until the auction started, our auction house's appraiser couldn't determine the material of this item. The starting price of this item is 100,000 US dollars, and each increment must not be less than 1,000 US dollars. Just now, Mr. Vittorio said that no matter what the final price of this item is, he will personally donate the same amount to the World Red Cross. Elisa said with a smile. Since it's donated by the church, then I'll take it. 100,000 US dollars. An old man in the back said with a smile. Everyone nodded. Although everyone was rich, there was no need to buy such a broken box and take it home. Even if it's for charity, I'll pay 1 million US dollars. A young man said with a smile. This young man was a rising star. He couldn't miss such an opportunity. 5 million US dollars. Just the fact that Ivan's auction house couldn't identify the material of this item means that it's worth that much. A middle-aged man in the front row said softly. The Bishop of the Vatican couldn't help but shake his head. All of them were Westerners. The Huaxia people didn't make any moves. 5 million US dollars for a broken box. No matter what material it was made of, the group of rich businessmen from Huaxia shook their heads. They had already spent a lot of money to participate in this auction. They wouldn't spend any more money on something that wasn't worth it. Mr. Vincent, 5 million US dollars. Is there anyone higher than 5 million US dollars? If there isn't, then this item belongs to Mr. Vincent. Elisa said with a smile. 10 million. Guopai took the microphone and said softly. Huaxia, it's Huaxia. I think it's that Huaxia guy who just spent 100 million US dollars on scrap. He can't be planning to pick up a bargain on this item, right? The crowd heard the Huaxia guy's voice from Vittorio's box again. Everyone started to talk about it. Raphael, the Huaxia guy in Vittorio's box, isn't ordinary. Maybe he saw through this box, the man in black said with a smile. The black-clothed man said with a smile, I hope the others won't get involved. If anyone dares to ruin my plans, just wait. 15 million US dollars. I'm really sorry, but I'm also interested in this item, the man named Vincent said with a smile. 20 million US dollars. If you want to raise more money for the Red Cross Society, then continue. I don't mind asking Mr. Vittorio to pay more, Guopai said with a smile. 23 million US dollars. I still want to give it a try, Vincent continued. 100 million US dollars. 100 million US dollars. If you want to continue, then continue. Guopai's microphone was snatched away by little Ling Mo. He spoke loudly into the microphone. The people in the private room opened their eyes wide once again. If you want it, then be more ruthless. Look, they aren't increasing the price. Chapter 432. Winston frowned when he heard Ling Mo's bid of $100 million. Just as he was considering if he should increase the price, a man in black walked up to him and whispered something into his ear. Winston was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He sat down obediently and stopped talking. Congratulations, Miss Nangong. $100 million, and this item is yours, Elisa said with a smile. Thank you, Mr. Vittorio, for donating $100 million to the Red Cross Society. Guopai looked at Vittorio, and the two of them laughed. The auction continued. After about 3 minutes, the black box was delivered to the box. Bad guy, are you sure this is a good item? Ling Mo asked with a pout. Miss Nangong, this is definitely not an ordinary item. It's said to be from an Italian church, but the owner of this item is someone important. Bad guy, you might have made a great bargain by buying it for $100 million, Vittorio said with a smile. Vittorio said with a smile. He couldn't directly talk about the Angel Council, but he still gave Guopao a reminder. The owner of this item is someone important? Not bad. It does have a great background. Guopai thought to himself. He couldn't make the box disappear into thin air now, so he could only put it in the box for now. However, Guopai didn't know why, but when the box appeared in front of him, he suddenly felt a little uncomfortable. But since it was an auction, Guopai didn't think too much about it. It should be because of the shadow goo worm inside the box. Not bad, not bad. One of the two items has already been delivered to Huaxia. Once the flying knife is delivered to Huaxia, the matter will be settled. Celia, how dare you betray the Lord? You must die, the Bishop of the Vatican said with narrowed eyes. Out of the 1,500 items, more than 200 items were sold in the morning. Because many items were sold by the time Alice and her sisters finished speaking, the speed wasn't slow. However, if they wanted to complete the auction this time, it would probably take 3 days. Thank you for your support of Ivan's Auction House. Now it's lunchtime. You could go out for lunch. Of course, if you want to stay here, we've also prepared a sumptuous lunch for you. Alice had once again returned to the stage. Her sweet voice and smile made many people feel as if they were bathing in the spring breeze. Because this wasn't the first time the Ivan auction was held, many people chose to wait for the auction to begin in the afternoon. At the same time, they could get in touch with rich businessmen from all over the world and facilitate a lot of cooperation. Bad boy, do you want to eat something in the room or follow me to the back? The auction starts at 2 in the afternoon. There are still 2 hours left. I can arrange some other activities for you, Vittorio said with a smile. Humph, bad guy, you can take Brother Mo go with you. Brother Bad Guy and I will stay in the room. Hurry up and bring up the delicious food. I'm starving. Little Ling Mo pouted and said. Vittorio nodded with a smile. Mo Beifong was already eager to try when he heard Vittorio's words. He hurriedly followed Little Ling Mo out. You were also said that I'm a stud horse. I think Mo de Gu is much better than me. Not only is he a stud horse, but he's also a stud horse who likes foreign women. Guopai said with a smile. Little Ling Mo's little hand pinched the soft flesh on his waist a few times and said, I'm a minor. What are you talking about? Not long after Vittorio left, the door of the private room opened again. The 4 beautiful foreign girls in the private room cleared the table, and then the table was full of delicious food. Guo nodded with satisfaction and began to eat with Little Ling Mo. Is there more food? There's too much to eat. Someone knocked on the door from outside. Little Ling Mo mumbled softly as she went to open the door. Is Guopai here? A Huaxia's voice came into the room. Guopai obviously knew who it was. Little Ling Mo was startled. Who are you? How do you know Brother Bad Guy? Little girl, let your sister Mu in. This is the sister Mu Ningning from Taiyun City that I told you about before, Guopai said with a smile. Little Ling Mo let Mu Ningning into the room. Let's sit down and eat together. I saw you just now. That raw stone is yours, right? Guopai said with a smile. You really got a great deal this time. Big Bad Guy. Sister you, or didn't let you hook up with foreign women. I didn't expect you to find a woman from China to come to Italy. Sister Mu, I don't mean anything else. It's just that Brother Bad Guy is really too bad. Also, if you also like Brother Bad Guy, even if we get married, you'll be ranked behind me in terms of the first, second, and third wives. Little Ling Mo's words made Mu Ningning blush. Guopai's face was filled with black lines. Let's eat something first. Let's talk slowly, Guopai said with a smile. There was a lot of food on the table. It was more than enough for the 3 of them. Guopai also knew the purpose of Mu Ningning's visit to Italy. She wanted to open up the European market for jade. The raw stone was chosen by Mu Puyu. No wonder it was such a good material. Bad brother, I'll pay the 100 million USD that you gave to the foreign young man. This raw stone was sold for a sky-high price of 500 million USD. After deducting the handling fee, we'll still get 450 million USD. It's a lot more than what we initially estimated. I can't let you lose money too, Mu Ningning said with a slightly red face. Lose money? Why would I lose money? I got 2 pieces of 7-color jade for 100 million USD. I made a lot of money. Guopai smiled and took the 2 pieces of jade from beside him. He used a small flying sword in his hand to quickly clean up the gravel outside the jade. The entire room was illuminated by the seven-colored light of the two pieces of jade. Although this kind of jade could not be compared to the yin-yang twin jade, it was still very valuable. It could even be used to forge magic tools. However, most jade merchants used it as ornaments or pendants. Each of them could be sold at a sky-high price because there were too few pieces of seven-colored jade. Oomph, you didn't tell me at the beginning. Now that Big Sister Moo is here, you're telling me the truth. You two must have some unspeakable secrets, little Lingma said with a pout. Moo Ningning's face turned even redder. I thought Bad Brother lost money. I didn't expect you to be the biggest winner of this raw stone. Just like Grandpa said, you're number one when it comes to jade, Moo Ningning said softly. Guopai put the jade back into the gourd. Then, he put away the shadow goo box in front of the two. Guopai had absolute trust in them. Big Sister Moo, did you come alone? Or is there someone else with you? Guopai asked with a smile. The admission ticket here is so expensive. I don't have the same treatment as Bad Brother and Little Lingma. I'm staying in the corner by myself, Moo Ningning said with a smile. That location is too bad. Just stay in the room later. There are still 2.5 days until the auction. You made a lot of money by selling the raw stone. If there's anything you want to buy, it's more convenient to buy it here. You can be the little girl's companion, Guopai said with a smile. Moo Ningning nodded with a blush. That's easy to say. You want to be my companion? Are you going to stay with me during the day and you at night, you big bad guy? Chapter 433. Little Ling Mo's words not only made Moo Ningning blush, but Guopai's face also turned slightly red. Little Ling Mo could tell what was going on. He was just saying it casually, but it turned out to be true. Guopai was so thick-skinned that he rarely blushed, but this time he actually blushed. Cough, cough, cough. Pretend I didn't say anything. I won't be cultivating in your room at night. You guys can do whatever you want. Sister Moo is from Huaxia anyway, so Sister Yuer can't say anything. After the little girl finished speaking, she began to sweep the food on the table. Moo Ningning didn't know whether she should leave or stay. She looked at Guopai with a hint of annoyance. Guopai laughed. At that moment, Vittorio walked in. Guopai introduced Moo Ningning to Vittorio. Vittorio also looked at Guopai with a meaningful expression. His meaning was clear. Big brother understands you. Where's Mo Lao Ge? He's not back yet. Having won glory for the country? Guopai quickly changed the topic and asked with a smile. At that moment, Mo Beifong walked in from outside. Guopai looked at Mo Beifong with a smirk. Mo Beifong smiled and sat down obediently. At that moment, the afternoon auction continued. Alice stood on the stage. A calligraphy painting had already been opened, and several Huaxia people walked onto the stage. Everyone, the starting bid for this painting is 5 million USD. Each increment must be no less than 50,000 USD. Friends who like it can make a bid, Alice said with a smile. Bring this painting back to Huaxia. We have to bring it back. This painting is the real along the river during the Qingming festival. The one in the Huaxia Museum is undoubtedly a fake. An old man walked down from the stage and said, this painting can truly reflect the prosperity of the Northern Song dynasty. When Guopai heard the old man's words, he couldn't help but shake his head. If he wasn't born in that dynasty, how could he say that it was a prosperous Northern Song dynasty? When Zhang Zirui drew the along the river during the Qingming festival, the Northern Song dynasty's economy had already declined. At that time, the people's lives had already begun to deteriorate. However, Guopai wasn't going to argue with the old man. He couldn't possibly tell the old man that his brother hadn't ascended to heaven at that time. 23 million USD. A group of Huaxia businessmen gathered together. Huaxia. From the beginning. It's not easy to be a businessman from Huaxia, especially a businessman with a patriotic heart. Last time, I saw a lot of Huaxia's things in the collection room of the Las Vegas casino. It seems that I have to take some time to get my hands on Huaxia's things. Guopai thought to himself. In less than a year, a large number of collections have been stolen from all over Europe and the United States. Later, these collections appeared in a private museum in Huaxia, which shocked all of Europe and the United States. 45 million USD. Raise the price. This group of Huaxia people have a lot of money, a European said into a small walkie-talkie. Then, a middle-aged man not far away shouted a high price of 45 million USD. Guopai naturally heard the European's words. His eyes narrowed. They are bullying us Huaxia people. Guopai thought for a while and shouted 80 million USD. The whole audience exclaimed. The Europeans were not very interested in Huaxia's collections. Such a price already made them feel that it was too high. 120 million USD. The people of Vittorio's box are also Huaxia people. Haha, I knew that this thing would cause a storm in Huaxia. The European said softly into the walkie-talkie. The expression on his face could not hide his excitement. Don't bid anymore. The European Levon family deliberately raised the price. Let them keep it for themselves. The along the river during Qingming will come back to Huaxia sooner or later. Just as the leader of the Huaxia businessmen was about to continue bidding, a voice sounded in his ear. The middle-aged man looked up and looked around. He suddenly understood what was going on. There were masters from Huaxia in this auction. He nodded excitedly and sat down. Then, he told the people around him what had just happened. 120 million USD. Mr. Simmons, 120 million USD. This has already broken the record for the highest price of a Huaxia painting in Italy. Is there anyone else who is interested in this painting? If not, this along the river during Qingming will be Mr. Simmons's, Alice said with a smile. Levon stared at it. 120 million USD. The two groups of Huaxia people did not bid anymore. How could this be? This was not in line with the style of Huaxia people. 120 million USD did not reach the bottom line of Huaxia people. Why were they silent? Bad brother, don't you know that you want this along the river during Qingming? This painting is authentic. The one in your Huaxia museum is a fake, Vittorio said with a smile. Vittorio said with a smile. A moment ago, when Guopao called out the price of 80 million, he thought that Guopao would insist on getting it. He didn't expect that Guopao was drinking wine with a completely indifferent expression. There is no doubt that it is authentic. Since the Europeans like the paintings of Huaxia people so much, I am naturally happy to see this situation. It is just a painting. Maybe it will suddenly return to Huaxia one day. Why should we fight for the temporary pleasure now? Guopai said with a smile. Vittorio nodded with a smile. It seemed that what Guopai said made sense. Huaxia people, 120 million USD. Are you giving up this famous painting of Huaxia because of 120 million USD? When Levon saw that the two groups of people from Huaxia people did not respond, he could not help but stand up and shout at the group of Huaxia people not far away. Mr. Levon, is this painting yours? If you like it, you can bid for it. We are just here to join the fun. 120 million USD is equivalent to 700 million Huaxia dollars. We are not as stupid as that gentleman to bid such a high price. One of the businessmen from Huaxia recognized Levon, so he stood up and said with a smile. Levon squatted down on his seat. This time, he had really shot himself in the foot. 120 million USD. 10% of the handling fee would be 12 million USD, which would be directly contributed to Ivan's auction. Haha, bad brother, I know what happened. Haha, I did not expect that you and a few Huaxia people would make old Levon, this old fox, suffer a loss. This old fox, I remember now. This painting was brought by him. The person who bid just now should be one of his people. Vittorio also saw the matter between Levon and Huaxia people and could not help but laugh. Brother, you can't talk nonsense about this matter. If Mr. Levon set this trap himself, then he will be in trouble this time. It has nothing to do with me. Guopai said with a smile. Little Ling and Mo narrowed her eyes because she had heard Guopai's voice transmission just now. Naturally, she knew what had happened. 120 million USD. The along the river during Qingming Festival is Mr. Simmons's. After Alice's voice faded away, Levin's heart seemed to have been hit by a heavy hammer. The group of businessmen from Huaxia laughed. The leading old man still looked around, and finally, his eyes fell on Vittorio's box. He knew the owner of Bugyaku, Guopai. Although they were not friends, Bagyaka's name was very famous in Huaxia. Naturally, he had heard of it. It should be Guopai. Onergua sent the letter to us. It should be him, the old man said softly. The others nodded one after another. Huaxia's rumors about Guopai were so amazing that it was not strange for him to have such means. Of course, Guopai did not know that these people had guessed that it was him who had set Levon up just now. 11 million USD. Congratulations, Mr. Lee. This pair of porcelain bottles belongs to you. Because of what had happened just now, the overseas Huaxia gang had already bought several antiques from Huaxia at a price lower than their expectations. This was something they did not expect before. Of course, the reason for all this was because of the along the river during Qingming festival just now. No one dared to use the method just now to raise the bidding price. At this time, they found that Huaxia people were not as simple and gullible as before. Chapter 434. At 5 o'clock in the afternoon, the first day of the auction was about to come to an end. Elisa stood on the rostrum with a simple wooden box in her hand. According to the usual practice, this was the last item to be auctioned today. Guopai smiled. He already knew what was inside the wooden box. If it wasn't the snow muscle pill that he gave to Vittorio, then what else could it be? Beautiful lady, this is the last item up for auction today, right? Sigh. Although there are quite a lot of good items up for auction today, there's no chance for us to bid. Hopefully, we can join the fun this time around, an old man in the front row said with a smile. Duke William, I hope that today's last item can let you join in, Elisa said with a smile. Presumably, everyone here should have heard that several miraculous pills have appeared in Huaxia. This time, Ivan's auction house was lucky enough to obtain some. Today's last item is 2 snow muscle pills. Both of them will be auctioned together. The base price is 10 million US dollars, and each increment must not be less than 100,000 US dollars. Miss Elisa, are you sure that this auction item is Huaxia's snow muscle pill? As far as I know, Huaxia's auction house only has 3 kinds of pills. Huaxia has very strict control over these pills. There's no way to get Huaxia out. Is Ivan's auction house sure that this time's pill is Huaxia's snow muscle pill? When Elisa's words fell, a middle-aged woman stood up and said. The others also began to talk about it. They more or less knew about Huaxia's pills. Brother Vittorio, take one out and find a reputable person to try it on. Then I'll pay for it, Guopai said with a smile. Vittorio nodded and whispered something into a walkie-talkie. Elisa smiled and looked at the box and nodded. Mrs. Elisa, please come up. Mr. Vittorio said that even if everyone wanted to verify the authenticity of this pill, he would have to trouble Mrs. Elisa to take one for everyone to see. Of course, this pill is a gift for Mrs. Elisa. I remember that Mrs. Elisa's 80th birthday should be the day after tomorrow, Elisa said with a smile. A white-haired old lady walked onto the stage with the help of several people. Little girl, are you Alice, Elisa, or Emma? It's rare for you to remember my birthday. If little Vittorio bullies you, tell me. I'll teach him a lesson, the old lady said with a smile. Elisa smiled and helped Eliza onto the stage. Elisa, let everyone wait for a moment. Help Madame Eliza to the back. Let Madame Eliza quickly go to the toilet after taking the medicine. Vittorio spoke into the walkie-talkie again. Elisa helped Mrs. Eliza backstage, and the discussion below the stage became louder. Everyone, please wait for a moment. Mrs. Eliza will be done in about 10 minutes. Elisa returned to the rostrum and said with a smile. The discussions below the rostrum continued. If the snow muscle pill is real, then no matter what, I have to get the last one. An old man in the front row said softly, I know about this snow muscle pill. It's not only useful for women, but it's also very effective for men. Mystic One, let the Golden Pearl Chamber of Commerce transfer 1 billion US dollars to their bank account. If this snow muscle pill is real, we have to do our best to get it. When the time comes, we can study the composition of the snow muscle pill. It will be a great thing for both the Golden Pearl Chamber of Commerce and the Korean people. The captain of Korea's Special Ability Group, Kim Chong-lai, said softly. Ivan auction house won't lie. Find a way to get the last snow muscle pill. My lord said before that as long as we get the pill, we will know what happened to Huaxia. The bishop of the Holy See whispered to Raphael. For a moment, many forces began to have ideas about the snow muscle pill. 13 minutes later, a lady appeared on the rostrum. Even Elisa was stunned. The lady in front of her looked similar to Madame Eliza, but she was 20 years younger than Madame Eliza. Madame Eliza? Elisa asked softly. The lady smiled and nodded. Elisa, what was that pill just now? Was the person in the mirror me? Tell little Vittorio that I will accept this gift. Port Exxon will be the reward for this pill. In the future, that port will be the Ivan families. After the lady finished speaking, she did not need anyone to help her and directly walked down the rostrum and sat in her seat. Everyone stared with their eyes wide open. Miss Alice, we believe you. That snow muscle pill's base price is $10 million. I bid $100 million. Let's start the auction. The Duke called William said loudly. He and Madame Eliza were old friends. They had known each other since childhood. Yesterday, they even had afternoon tea together. He did not expect Madame Eliza to become like this. Duke William bids $100 million. Is there a higher bid? Elisa said with a smile. $150 million. This old woman only has that much money. An old woman not far from Madame Eliza said softly. Madame Amanda, I'm really sorry. I can't give up on this pill. $200 million. An old man beside the woman said softly. $500 million. Golden Pearl Chamber of Commerce bids $500 million. Jean Schwani saw the money enter his account and immediately shouted. $600 million. Seijo Chamber of Commerce bids $600 million. I hope everyone will give us some face. Seijo Takeo said loudly. A group of despicable Asians. This is Italy. How can we let this thing go to other places? $1 billion. I bid $1 billion. A blond middle-aged man said loudly. Italy's richest man, Alexander, said loudly. A group of people focused their gaze on this man who had not spoken much for the entire day. Forget it. Since the snow muscle pill can appear in Italy, there will definitely be more opportunities in the future. $1 billion is too high. Seijo Takeo wanted to continue bidding, but he was stopped by Yamamoto. Similarly, Jean Chonglai stopped Jean Schwani. Since the Asians did not bid, the European tycoons naturally did not say anything. $1 billion. The first snow muscle pill sold for a sky-high price in the first auction abroad. Bad guy. Gee, it's too easy for you to earn money. No wonder you can marry so many wives. Ling Mo said with a smile. Guopai's face was filled with black lines. Mo, Beifong, and Vittorio laughed. Congratulations to Mr. Alexander for obtaining this snow muscle pill for $1 billion. If Mr. Alexander wants to take it, you can take it with warm water. However, it's best to find a toilet close by because the pill will expel the toxins in your body. Otherwise, it will be very embarrassing. Elisa said with a smile. Alexander nodded. $1 billion had already been transferred to the fixed account of Ivan's auction house. Today's auction is over. I hope everyone will continue tomorrow at 8 o'clock. As for the snow muscle pill, Mr. Vittorio just said that he has already communicated with Huaxia and Bugyaku. Bugyaku will provide us with 5 more snow muscle pills. They will be at Ivan's auction house tomorrow morning. Elisa's words were like a bomb, causing the crowd below the stage to explode. Money, prepare the money for me. I want to see one. $5 billion in my bank account tomorrow morning. Chapter 435. To be precise, Elisa's words made the global financial system busy. Some large transfers that were not even seen once a year frequently appeared in the VIP rooms of the banks. A group of bank employees who had already finished work at 4 o'clock had to return to the bank from the bar. Mr. List, are you sure you want to transfer $300 million? This may affect your future reputation. A financial commissioner in uniform whispered to a middle-aged man. I don't care so much. If Duke William doesn't need this money, It will probably be transferred to my card in 3 to 5 days. Help me with the transfer first. Be sure to transfer the money today. In the U.S. Citibank box, list the Super VIP transferred $300 million to Duke William. Yamamoto Shinichi is also in Italy. What Takeo Saigeo said is very feasible. Transfer the money to him. We must get a snow muscle pill at all costs. Our people will definitely be able to research the formula of the snow muscle pill. When the time comes, we can also have a share of the snow muscle pill market. After a group of Yamaguchi Gumi's big shots finally discussed one, $5 billion was transferred to Takeo Saigeo's bank card. Your Excellency, why did you give up the fight for the snow muscle pill? When Alexander raised the price of the snow muscle pill to $1 billion, Raphael wanted to continue to raise the price but was stopped by the bishop. The Ivan family got more than one snow muscle pill this time. I already knew when I entered the auction. There is no need to fight for the first one. There will definitely be more snow muscle pills tomorrow and the day after. We just need to get one. After the bishop finished speaking, the two left the auction. Things were getting more and more interesting. Alexander bought the snow muscle pill for $1 billion. Under the protection of several bodyguards, he directly took the snow muscle pill. About 10 minutes later, a group of people saw Alexander again. Everyone once again understood the magic of the snow muscle pill. This time, because of the existence of the snow muscle pill at the Ivan auction, his reputation was unparalleled. Brother Guapai, $1 billion has been transferred to your bank card. In the future, all your auction items at the Ivan auction will be exempt from the processing fee. Vittorio led Guapai's group of 4 out of the auction house and into an extended Rolls-Royce. Guapai nodded, and the car drove to an ancient castle not far from the auction house. Take a rest first. When it's time for dinner, I'll ask someone to call you. There will be a big party tonight. I think Brother Imo will like it. Miss Ling Imo, you don't have to stare at me like this. In fact, according to the words of the Huaxia people, there is nothing wrong with food and sex. Isn't there, Brother Guapai? Before Vittorio could finish his words, he felt as if someone had grabbed a piece of soft meat around his waist. Only then did he remember that Ling Mo was the champion of the special ability martial arts competition. Only then did he realize that his words had angered the little girl. All right, little girl, let's go in and rest. Brother Vittorio, see you at dinner. Guapai waved his hand. Vittorio suddenly felt a soft sound around his waist, and then he ran away as if he was escaping. Humph, bad guy. I can't let Brother Bad Guy come abroad in the future. Fortunately, Sister Ewer had foresight and told me to keep an eye on him. Otherwise, something bad would have happened. Ling Mo pouted and said, I won't cultivate in your room today. Sister Mu is here. You can accompany her tonight. You can't go to that stupid party. After saying that, Ling Mo walked into her room, leaving Mu Ningming blushing and Mo Beifong with a smirk on his face. Brother, with a beauty like Ningning accompanying you, I'll take care of the prestige of our country. Before Mo Beifong could finish his words, he saw Guapao looking at him with narrowed eyes and ran away as if he was escaping. Guapai watched the two leave. Mu Ningning's face was red. The two of them almost got married when they were at Taiyuan. Guapai had had enough of the days he spent abroad. With a flip of his hand, he set up a huge isolation formation around the room. Sister Mu, since everyone has created such a perfect environment for us, we'll be letting everyone down if we don't do something. As soon as he finished the sentence, Guapao's figure flickered and pulled Mu Ningning onto the Simmons bed with him. Stud. Ling Mo pouted in the room next door. Vittorio did not ask Guapai for breakfast. The next morning, Guapai and Mu Ningning reappeared in front of the group. Vittorio looked at the two with a smile. Mu Ningning blushed slightly. Guapai introduced Mu Ningning to them generously. She's my woman, Brother Vittorio. She might come to Italy again in the future. You should help her when the time comes, ha! Gua said with a smirk, and Vittorio naturally agreed happily. The few of them got into the car and drove to the castle of Ivan's auction house. When they entered the auction house again, the way the crowd looked at Vittorio and the others had changed. Many of them obviously did not have a good night's rest. Their eyes were bloodshot, but it did not affect their mental state. Mr. Vittorio, tell us the truth. How many snow muscle pills do you have? Give us a count. We've already prepared the money. The old men who failed to get their hands on the snow muscle pills yesterday smiled at Vittorio. They could no longer control their emotions when they heard that the snow muscle pills could increase their lifespan. There's still 4 left. I was planning to sell 2 today and 2 tomorrow, but since everyone is so excited, I'll sell all 4 today, Vittorio said with a smile. 4, there are still 4 left. The crowd watched Vittorio and the others enter the room before returning to their seats excitedly. Brother, we'll sell 6 of the 10 snow muscle pills. The Ivan family will pay you the highest price for the remaining 4. If you have any good stuff in the future, just remember to give it to the Ivan family, Vittorio said with a smile. Guopai nodded slightly. It was just a snow muscle pill, something refined from some medicinal dregs. Was there need to be so excited? However, it was only when the auction started that Guo Shui realized how popular the items refined from these dregs were. Originally, I wanted to auction the snow muscle pill last, but then I thought about it. In order not to attract everyone's appetite, we'll auction the snow muscle pill first today. The first snow muscle pill has a base price of 100 million US dollars. Each increment must not be less than 1 million. If you want it, hurry up. You should have heard Mr. Vittorio's words. There are only 4 left, Alice said with a smile. 500 million US dollars. I'll pay 500 million US dollars. A bearded man said loudly. 1 billion US dollars. I, Muhammad, must get one of these 4 snow muscle pills. A middle-aged man from the Middle East said with a smile. Guopai couldn't help but stare. Was this still an auction? 2 bids had directly raised the base price of 100 million to 1 billion US dollars. Muhammad, 1 billion US dollars can't get this snow muscle pill today because I also want it. 2 billion US dollars, I'll pay 2 billion. An old man sitting in the first row said softly. 5 billion US dollars, Golden Pearl Chamber of Commerce. 5 billion US dollars, Jean Chonglai said loudly. 5 billion US dollars higher than yesterday's snow muscle pill by 500 million US dollars. The people who were fighting for it looked at each other. 5 billion US dollars was almost their bottom line. No one wanted to increase the price anymore. 6 billion US dollars, the Holy See wants this pill. Raphael's voice came from the room. Jean Chonglai shook his head gently and sat in his chair. He knew what the Holy See meant. Chapter 436. Guopai naturally recognized who the speaker was. His brows slightly wrinkled. During the special ability martial arts tournament, Guopai knew that the Dark Church and the Angel Council were related to the Great Devil. If this pill was obtained by them, he feared that they would more or less guess his identity. Don't think about it. My aunt still has the ancestor of the Water Immortals, Shui Yunzi, with the current strength of the Great Devil. If he wants to find trouble with me, he will have to think twice. Guopai secretly said in his heart. Now that he had 6 billion US dollars, money was nothing to him, but Guopai also thought about what to do with this money. Good karma. In this world, he had to accumulate enough good karma. When the time came, once he had the opportunity to ascend to the heavenly realm, the heavenly thunder would not be able to do anything to him. Guopai had a new plan in his heart. The second snow muscle pill had already been auctioned. This time, the price rose faster. Alice's words were not finished. The starting price of 100 million US dollars had already become 1 billion US dollars. Many people were completely shocked. There were so many rich people in the world. It turned out that their money was nothing. 8 billion US dollars. Our Seijo Chamber of Commerce is buying this pill for all the people in the world. We will do research on this pill and research a substitute. When the time comes, everyone in the world will benefit. Seijo Takeo said loudly with a sense of justice. In the end, the second pill was bought by the Japanese for 8 billion US dollars. Guopai couldn't help but laugh. Research the ingredients? Haha, it's ridiculous. So what if I give you the ingredients of this pill? Do you have Samadhi true fire? Without such a heaven-defying thing, How can you develop a substitute? Then the third pill was also bought by Muhammad for $1.8 billion. The fourth pill belonged to a middle-aged American. The Korean Golden Pearl Chamber of Commerce spent $500 million to buy a quarter of the pill in the hands of the Japanese. Anyway, they were all eyes. The Japanese very readily agreed to the Koreans' request. The reaction of the businessmen in Hwaseong was not strong, but after the auction, several overseas Hwaseong people increased the monthly auction price of the snow mussel pill by more than 3 times. Of course, this was all in the future. The 4 snow mussel pills all belonged to someone. We still have to continue with our auction, Alice said with a smile. As a result, the auction price the next day was nearly 40% higher than the expected price. Later, the experts of Ivan's auction house analyzed that it was because the price of the snow mussel pill had greatly stimulated the nerves of everyone in the auction house, so they were willing to spend a lot of money to buy what they wanted. Bad brother, you really didn't see anything. After the auction is over, follow me to Milan. I'll bring you to a good place. Maybe there'll be something you like, Vittorio said with a smile. Guopai nodded lightly. Originally, they thought that Li Xuanhuan's flying dagger would be auctioned off today, but because of the 4 snow mussel pills, that flying dagger could only be auctioned off on the 3rd day. The group returned to the castle where they were staying. Because Mu Ningning was there, Guopai naturally didn't stay idle. However, after making love, Guopai was surprised to find that he actually had a faint feeling of breaking through the core formation stage and entering the golden core stage. There's still one more day. After the auction is over, we'll return to Hwaseong. This time, we've been tormenting ourselves for a long time. It's time to go back, Guopai said softly. Sister Mu, when the time comes, you'll come with me to the capital to meet my grandparents and my eldest daughter-in-law. After that, I'll have to prepare the betrothal gifts for old man Mu Puyu to propose marriage. Huh, Guopai said with a smile. Mu Ningning's small face slightly reddened. She had inexplicably lost her virginity to Guopai, but she was willing to do so. This trip to Italy was really fruitful. The raw stones were sold at sky-high prices, and she had reached an agreement with the eldest son of the Italian mafia. She had already chosen 2 jade shops in 2 major cities, Milan and Naples. Of course, the biggest gain was following Guopai, such a mysterious man. However, there were some things that Guopai didn't know. When Zhou Zhan and the others returned to China, not only did No. 1 personally receive them, but the World Superpowers Committee also reluctantly handed over the 4 black holes to Hwaseong. This brought an unprecedented opportunity for Hwaseong to research black matter. Under Guo Fanyu's strong request, Grandfather Guoshunwen was persuaded to wait for Guopai to return before going into the black holes. Mo Beifong continued his carefree life. Guopai didn't expect that the originally serious Mo Beifong would become like this after coming abroad. He wondered if a blonde beauty would come looking for Mo Beifong with a mixed-race child a few years after he returned to China. On the 3rd day of the auction, due to the absence of the snow mussel pill, everyone seemed to be in low spirits. Some of the things that Vittorio found later didn't interest everyone too much. This throwing knife was also sent by our Italian church. Just like the first day, no matter how much you bid for it, Mr. Vittorio will donate it. The base price is $1 million, and each bid must not be less than $10,000. Friends who like cold weapons can bid for it. In addition, I would like to tell everyone that this throwing knife is also a product of the mysterious Hwaseong, Alice said with a smile. Forget it, I don't want this thing. It looks like it's only worth $100 or $200 on the street. Besides, it's troublesome to get on the plane, so I don't want it, a middle-aged man in the Hwaseong overseas group said with a smile. Even Hwaseong people don't want it. We don't want it. $1 million for a paring knife. Will be a joke if word gets out, a few other Japanese businessmen said with a smile. Brother bad guy, buy it. We'll use it to peel apples later. Little Ling, Mo said in the box. He happened to be very close to the topic, so his voice came from the topic. Many people smiled. Yes, it was a good thing to buy a paring apple. However, because of Little Ling Mo's words, the sellers in the back row who wanted to buy it for fun gave up their previous thoughts. 10 million. I'll take this thing. Guo Pai said into the microphone. Many people in the audience shrugged their shoulders. The Huaxia people were really stupid and had a lot of money. They actually spent 10 million to buy such an ordinary thing. However, there was one person in the box who smiled with satisfaction. That was the box where the bishop and Raphael were in. There's a problem. There's definitely a problem. It's not just this flying knife. There's also the shadow venom box. It's an item from the Vatican. I think the great demon must have done something to it. Guo Pai could feel the joy of the two people in the box not far away. However, the flying knife had already been delivered to Guo Pai. Guo Pai immediately put away. At the end of the 3-day auction, little Ling Mo tossed out 4 big boxes. Guo Pai kindly asked the little girl to put the items into the gourd, but the little girl refused. These were her spoils of war, and she wanted to personally bring them back to Huaxia. On the morning of the 4th day, Guo Pai was preparing to return to China. Vittorio said with a smile at the airport, "Brother Guo Pai, the total is $20 billion. Don't refuse it. This is my father's idea. Are you sure you don't want to go to Milan with me? There will be opportunities in the future. Brother Vittorio, you are a very good friend. You are welcome to visit Huaxia when you have time," Guo Pai said with a smile. Guo Pai had a good impression of the eldest son of the Italian mafia. "I'm finally going back," Guo Pai said softly as the plane took off. However, in less than 10 minutes, an extremely uncomfortable feeling enveloped him. Guo Pai frowned. "I can't take the plane. Is something going to happen?" Chapter 437. The plane had already taken off, and there was a vast ocean below. That uncomfortable feeling had not dissipated. Guo Pai repeatedly divined, but he could not find the source of the danger at all. This made Guo Pai extremely uncomfortable. "Girl, I feel that something is wrong. If there is anything wrong with the plane later, jump off immediately. I think with your current strength, it shouldn't be a problem for you to survive at sea for a year and a half. Take these things, they may come in handy." Guo Pai handed a jade bottle to little Ling Mo as he spoke. "What can happen? Before we boarded the plane, we checked the plane. There are no explosives or anything. The pilots are also from Huaxia." Although little Ling Mo said this, she still took the jade bottle from Guo Pai. "Mo Lao Gu, take these things. If anything happens, think a way to protect yourself." Guo Pai then handed a jade bottle to Mo Beifong. Compared to little Ling Mo, Guo Pai was more worried about the man in front of him. He was at the late stage of Xiantian realm. Although he was very powerful, if something really happened to the plane, it would be a miracle if Mo Beifong could survive for a week on the sea. Time passed by little. The uncomfortable feeling in Guo Pai's heart became more and more obvious. However, no matter how hard he tried, he could not figure out what was going to happen. Just when Guo Pai was at a loss, the plane shook slightly. Although it was not very obvious, Guo Pai knew what was going to happen. "Little Ling Mo Lao Gu, jump off the plane." After Guo Pai finished speaking, little Ling Mo jumped off with a parachute without saying anything. Before the 2 pilots of the plane could react, Guo Pai had already jumped off. Although Mo Beifong was also prepared, the plane was still fine. The 2 of them had already jumped off. "I don't care. I will be wrong if I listen to my brother," Mo Beifong said to himself, and jumped off the plane directly. "Brother Wei, what happened after that?" Mo Beifong and the other 2 really jumped off the plane. The co-pilot asked the main pilot softly. "Just now Mo Lao Gu said that we should jump if anything happens. Should we wait or jump now? Didn't you say that you would only jump when something happened? What's the point of parachuting?" The pilot, Wang Wei, shook his head and said. However, before he could finish his words, the entire plane disappeared in the air. Huaxia was the first to receive the news of the missing plane. The whole of Huaxia was in a mess. "Mr. Vittorio, I'm Guo Pai's second brother, Jia Yuan. Are you sure my 4th brother will board the plane with little Ling Mo?" Jia Yuan got Vittorio's number through some special channels and asked softly into the phone. "I'm sure they got on the plane." Before they got on the plane, the crew checked the plane again. There was nothing wrong with the plane before it took off. "Mr. Jia, you're the 3rd person to call me to ask about this. What happened to the plane?" Brother Guapai's phone can't be reached. Did something happen? Vittorio asked in confusion. Nothing, I'm just asking. Sorry to bother you, Mr. Vittorio, Jia Yuan said and hung up the phone. No, something must have happened to Guapai's plane, Vittorio thought to himself. After hanging up the phone, Vittorio made a call. After a while, Vittorio's eyes widened. There was only one sentence from the other side of the phone. Today, the satellite had indeed detected that 3 planes had disappeared in the air around the world. One of them was Guapai's plane. Grandpa, don't worry. Guapai is fine, and so is little Ling Mo. I've already divined before, but as for when they'll come back, it'll depend on their luck. After receiving the news that Guapai's plane had disappeared, Guiyuan went straight to Bugyaku to find Yu. Guapai had told him that if anything happened to him, he should go to Yu. Only she could save him. That's good. That's good. Guiyuan said softly. He had just reunited with his daughter. If something happened to Guapai, the old man would definitely not be able to bear such a blow. Inform the Huaxian Navy to rush to the area where the plane was last seen in the Pacific Ocean. If other countries maliciously obstruct us, we'll kill them in the name of military exercises. After receiving the news of Guapai's accident, several soldiers in the capital discussed for a while and directly gave the order to Huaxian Navy. For a time, Huaxian Navy went to sea. Many countries couldn't guess what Huaxia was going to do. Don't provoke Huaxia at this time. They went to sea this time to find someone. Don't conflict with them. Withdraw all the fleets. Some fleets in the Pacific Ocean received the same order and obediently gave way to Huaxia's fleet. God, Brother Bad Guy was right. The plane disappeared into thin air. But how long will it take for it to land on the sea? I'm so tired. Jumping from a height of nearly 10,000 meters, little Ling Mo's parachute opened a little too early. Now he was strolling in the air. Boring. This was real boring. The plane actually disappeared. Fortunately, I listened to Guapai. But where did Guapai and little Ling Mo go now? Landing on the sea is also a big problem. It seems that we're in big trouble this time, Mo Beifong said softly. A formless black hole. I didn't expect to encounter such a thing in the human world. Fortunately, I reacted quickly. Otherwise, if I entered that black hole, I would definitely die. Guapai didn't open his parachute. He stepped on a flying sword and flew steadily in the air. Let's see if I can find little Ling Mo parachuting in front of this black hole will affect the turbulence of the black hole. It will probably be difficult to find the two of them. Guapai thought to himself. After about 10 minutes, he didn't see the little girl and Mo Beifong in the air at all. Guapai could only choose to fly toward the sea and see if he could find a small island. It was difficult to fly out of the Pacific Ocean on a flying sword. Although the 3 of them parachuted at about the same time, they were affected by the formless black hole and were blown hundreds of miles away by the turbulence. It was impossible to find each other. The formless turbulence was a space crack that couldn't be repaired when space was broken in the sky during the war between the witches and sorcerers. Not to mention the ordinary Wu Xiao. Even if an immortal accidentally entered the formless black hole, he wouldn't be able to come out without some luck. After flying close to the sea for about half an hour, a faintly discernible small island appeared in Guapai's field of vision. Finally, there was a place to land. Guapai sped up and rushed toward the island. As expected, this isn't an ordinary island. We're still so far away from the island, but there's actually a camouflage formation. Fortunately, it's not a difficult formation. I should greet the owner of this island first. Otherwise, it would be too presumptuous. Guapai stopped outside the formation and said softly, Guapai of the Tiandao sect is passing by this place. I hope to borrow this place for a rest. Please open the formation. Guapai's voice was transmitted directly into the formation. If there were people on the island, they would naturally be able to sense his presence. After about 3 minutes, there was no reply from the island. Guapai nodded lightly. This should be the residence of some rogue cultivators. However, the island was already empty. This island was considered ownerless. Open. The camouflage formation wasn't difficult to break. Guapai's spiritual sense entered the eye of the formation. Then, he said the word open softly. A gap opened in the formation, and Guopai directly jumped in. I've been ordered to guard this island for 1,000 years. My master has yet to return. Today, I'm leaving this island to find my master. The one who enters this island is the owner of this island. The fated one will obtain it. Tao Yuan said. After arriving on the island, the thickest book on the island had these words neatly written on it. Tao Yuan. He didn't seem to remember such a person in heavenly earth. However, this island was indeed a good place. Chapter 438. Guopai spent some time circling around the island. Originally, he wanted to take a good look at what was on the island, but later he gave up. Looking at the small island, there were traps everywhere. He really didn't know how the owner of this island did it. Even a nascent soul expert would die on such a small island if they were not careful. Fill your stomach first. It's hard to escape the tribulation. The ancients really didn't deceive me, Guopai said with a smile. If there was a tribulation, there was no way to avoid it. However, he was most worried about little Ling Mo looking at the jade pendant in his hand. At least little Ling Mo was fine for now. This is really fun. I didn't expect the sea to be so fun. No, when I return to Huaxia, I'll have to come out to the sea to play once a month. Guopai's worry was indeed unnecessary. Little Ling Mo was galloping on the surface of the sea while stepping on a killer whale. That's right, there was indeed a killer whale under his feet. The little girl seemed to have completely bribed this big fellow with just a pill from a J bottle. However, Mo Bifong's situation was much worse than little Ling Mo's. He fell from the sky into the sea. Fortunately, his cultivation was at the late Xiantian realm. Otherwise, just the umbrella on his body would have taken his life. Now, Mo Beifong was riding on a piece of wood that floated out of nowhere. He looked helplessly at the endless sea, and his heart began to feel nervous. Damn it, why did I have to mess around in Italy? This is retribution. This is retribution. Mo Beifong shook his head and shouted loudly. Where was he now? He didn't know what to do next. He didn't know if anyone would come to save him. He also didn't know. The only thing he could do now was to resign himself to fate. Guopao found a clean place on the island and took out a 9-winged magical tiger's thigh from the gourd. He started a fire and roasted it. Now, he wasn't worried about people recognizing the 9-winged magical tiger's thigh meat. If I don't have anything to worry about, cultivating here for 1,000 years is really a good choice, Guopai said softly as he roasted the tiger's thigh. In the past, before he ascended to the heavenly realm, he would usually find a place like this and go into seclusion for 1,000 years. But now, he didn't want to waste his time in a mortal world like this. Gigi, just as Guopao was about to eat the meat, a small monkey appeared not far from him. Guopao was stunned. This was the first living thing he had seen on the island. He had walked in such a big circle, but he hadn't found this small monkey. He didn't expect that his roast meat would attract a monkey. If you want to eat, then come over and make it yourself. I don't have time to serve you, Guopai said to the little monkey with a smile. The little monkey wasn't timid. With a whoosh, it rushed in front of Guopai and directly tore off a piece of oily thigh meat from the roasted tiger's thigh. It sat in front of Guopai and began to eat. It should be a spirit beast raised by the previous owner of the island. AI, it's really pitiful. In fact, cultivators shouldn't raise spirit beasts. When they ascended to the heavenly realm or went to other places, they ended up trapping their own spirit beasts. Guopai said softly. The little monkey seemed to understand and nodded its head. Then it tore off another piece of tiger's meat and began to eat. Guopai couldn't help but bring out 2 wine bowls. He filled them with wine and handed them to the little monkey. The little monkey didn't hesitate and took the bowl and drank it all. Then it handed the bowl back to Guopai and looked at Guopai expectantly. Haha, interesting, interesting. Today, I will drink to my heart's content with you, Fataba. After saying that, he poured the wine into both bowls. The man and the monkey enjoyed the wine very much. An hour later, the little monkey no longer had any scruples about Guopai. It sat on Guopai's lap with a relaxed look. Guopai reached out and patted the little monkey's head. A familiar aura rushed into his mind. Six-eared macaque. This little guy has the aura of the six-eared macaque. Guopai was shocked. Who was the six-eared macaque? It was the guy who fought Sun Wukong for 300 rounds. After Han, Sun ascended to the heavenly realm. The great sage told him about the six-eared macaque. Now, he could clearly feel the blood of the six-eared macaque. In the universe, there are 5 immortals. They are heaven, earth god, man, and ghost. There are 5 bugs. There are also the 4 monkeys. They're the smart stone monkey, red-bone horse monkey, long-armed ape monkey, and six-eared macaque. They're not heaven, earth god, man, or ghost. They are not heaven, earth god, man, or ghost. They are not heaven, earth god, man, or ghost. They are not heaven, earth god, man, or ghost. Guopai recalled that the great sage had told him about the 4 monkeys. However, he had never heard of the 4 monkeys having a bloodline inheritance. But what was going on with this little monkey? The more Guopai thought about it, the more curious he became. Perhaps he could only wait until he left the island to bring the little guy out. He could ask Master Shui Yunzi if he knew what was going on. If he didn't know, then he could only wait until he ascended to the heavenly realm and ask the great sage. Guopai even thought about it evilly. Did the great sage have a bloodline inheritance in the mortal world? If so, how'd he pass it down? This is so infuriating. That damned true monarch mind reading, he actually... Sun Wukong had saved Chun Qingyuan back in the heavenly stream and planted a trace of his divine sense in Chun Qingyuan's body. Now, everything that Guopai was thinking about was transmitted to Sun Wukong's mind. The monkey was furious. When had he ever been slandered like this? Brother monkey, what's wrong? Which blind fellow made you so angry? Bah, Jia couldn't help but ask when he saw his eldest senior brother scratching his head. How is that possible? Haha, interesting. It turns out that someone is playing a big game of chess. What does this have to do with me? I'd better go back to the mountain of flowers and fruit and have a good time with the monkeys. After saying that, the monkey flashed and disappeared from the mansion of the envoy of the pure altar. Chess. What kind of chess? It's none of your business, and it has nothing to do with this old pig. Time to sleep. After saying that, Jia's snores could be heard from the envoy's residence. Guopai naturally didn't know about the matter between the great sage and his second senior brother. At this time, Guopai followed the little monkey and arrived at a residence on the island. Cloudfire Cave. The 3 words appeared on the gate of the residence. Guopai could clearly sense a small formation. Cloudfire Cave? Whose residence is this? With that thought in mind, Guopai sent his divine sense into the spell formation. After about an hour, the spell formation was broken. The door, which had been sealed for an unknown period of time, slowly opened, and a statue appeared before Guopai's eyes. I'm rich. True monarch Cloudfire. This is actually his residence before he ascended. I remember him saying that he didn't bring anything when he ascended to the heavenly realm and left everything in the human realm. He regretted it so much. There must be a lot of good things in here. Guopai looked at the statue in front of him and couldn't help but think to himself, since I've entered true monarch Cloudfire's residence, then it must be fate. However, the things in here are all mine, Guopai. Guopai said softly to the statue with a smile. However, as soon as he said that, Guopai couldn't help but take a step back. The statue moved slightly, and Guopai's complacent expression disappeared. Chapter 439. Brother Yinhua, I didn't mean to offend you. Today, I came to your place by chance. If you have left your divine sense in the mansion, why don't you come out and meet me? Guopai said softly. However, there was no aura in the entire mansion except for him and the little monkey. Almost half an hour later, the little monkey didn't know why the good man in front of him suddenly stopped. He stood still behind Guopai until Guopai withdrew his gaze from the statue. Then, the little monkey started to squeak. Could it be that I'm hallucinating because of the recent torment? Since true monarch Cloudfire is not here, I'll stay in this mansion for now. Guopai said to himself. He walked around the statue and went to the living room. He waved his hand, and the dusty candlestick lit up again. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The little monkey arrived in front of Guopao with a whooshing sound. It held a long sword in its hand and handed it to Guopao. Guopao took the long sword and nodded slightly. This is Master Yunhua's sword. It is a pity that I was not born in the same era as Master Yunhua. Otherwise, I would have seen the power of this sword. Guopai played with the long sword and said softly. He had heard some things about Master Yunhua when he was in the heavenly court. However, there were only 4 words about Master Yunhua. His temperament was eccentric. After staying in the mansion for 2 hours, the sky outside had already darkened. Guopai sat cross-legged and used his divine sense to perceive the movements in the entire fire cloud cave. Of course, Supreme Cloud Fire had said that countless heavenly materials and earthly treasures were in his mansion. If this was the last mansion of Supreme Cloud Fire, then these treasures would definitely be there. If this was just a temporary palace of Supreme Cloud Fire, then it would be hard to say whether or not these treasures would be of any good. The little monkey ate one of the pills Guopao gave him. He sat cross-legged on the floor and closed his eyes. Guopao couldn't help but sigh. The 6-eared macaque's blood pulse was not ordinary. It was no wonder the 6-eared macaque was able to fight the great sage. I am saved. It has been 7 days. Finally, there is hope. Guopai naturally didn't know what was going on outside. One day on the island was 7 days outside. As Guopai estimated, 7 days had almost made Mo Beifong collapse. At this time, a merchant ship appeared a kilometer away from Mo Beifong. Swim over. I must swim over, Mo Beifong said. He put the last pill in the jade bottle given by Guopai in his mouth and swam quickly to the merchant ship like a fish. When he was 100 meters away from the merchant ship, the sailors on the merchant ship found Mo Beifong. Mo Beifong, who had been wandering at sea for 7 days and eating sashimi every day, was rescued on the merchant ship. Mo Beifong couldn't help but cry. Perhaps only after experiencing such things could one realize the value of life. No, I have to call back home. I don't know how Brother Guopai and Little Ling Mo are. After Mo Beifong ate something, he suddenly remembered the most important thing. Captain Regis, I need to use the satellite phone on our ship. When Jia Yuan received Mo Beifong's call, it was already 4 o'clock in the morning. Jia Yuan rushed over and cursed. However, when he found out that it was Mo Beifong, Jia Yuan no longer felt sleepy. It had been 7 days, and there was no news of Lao Si. Jia Yuan hadn't slept well for a week. Mo Lao Ge, tell me the location of your ship. Also, ask the captain for his account number. I will send him some money. Jia Yuan said softly. There was finally news of the 3 people. Although it wasn't Guopai, at least there was some information. Not long after Mo Beifong hung up the phone, several destroyers surrounded the fishing ship. Huaxia's navy rushed to the location that Mo Beifong told Jia Yuan at the fastest speed. At first, the captain of the merchant ship was shocked. Later, when he found out that they were here to pick up Mo Beifong, he felt relieved. Grandpa Gua. At 4 o'clock in the morning, Commander Huang's men found Mo Beifong. It was Lao Si who told them that there would be an accident on the plane. Lao Si and Little Ling Mo jumped off the plane earlier than him. He is fine, so Lao Si and the little girl should be fine too. Grandpa Gua, you can rest assured. Mo Beifong will return to the capital around noon. If you ask him anything, you can ask him. Jia Yuan told Grandpa Gua about Mo Beifong at around 7 o'clock in the morning. Grandpa Gua was relieved. Anyway, there was finally news of the 3 people. Almost 3 days later, the little girl sat on the killer whale and met Huaxia's navy. Under the stunned eyes of a group of people, Little Ling Mo boarded the warship. After saying goodbye to the killer whale reluctantly, she called her grandfather Nangong Mouse. Nothing. Why did you find me so quickly? I wanted to play at sea for a while. By the way, have you found Brother Bad Guy? No. Alas, Brother Bad Guy really knows how to play. I don't know where he is now. Let's not talk about it. I will fly back to the capital tomorrow. Little Ling Mo had no idea that the whole Huaxia had been in a mess during their disappearance. Nangong Mouse was even more speechless when he heard his granddaughter's words. She still had the mood to play at sea. 2 of the 3 missing people had been found, but the most important person could not be found. A whole month had passed, and Huasia's navy still had no news of Guopai. However, under the persuasion of Grandpa contacted several generals to recall the navy back to the country, but left a few destroyers to continue the search in the Pacific Ocean. Sister is Guopai really okay? It's been more than a month. It's really worrying. Lin Shuang couldn't help but ask again when she saw and little Ling Mo, who had woken up from meditation. It's okay. Didn't you see that Ling Mo is fine? And Mo Lao Gu is also fine. Brother Bad Guy was the first to sense the danger. How could he be fine? Maybe he found the Dragon King's mansion at sea and went to the Dragon Palace to seduce Xiao Longnu. You said with a smile. Lin Shuang nodded gently and couldn't help but touch her bulging belly. She hoped that Guopai was fine. At this time, Guopai had been meditating for 7 days. Just when his spiritual sense reached a hidden place in the mansion on the island, a powerful pressure fell on Guopai. Guopai spat out a mouthful of blood and then fainted. The little monkey didn't know what had happened and started to squeak. It wasn't until 3 days later that Guopai slowly woke up. He didn't have any strength in his body, and there was no trace of the Shudan that had been condensed. Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. He had been beaten down to the strength he had when he first arrived in the human world by the spiritual sense 3 days ago. It was impossible for him to leave the island now. It was impossible for him to break the formation with the strength of the late Xiantian realm. Great devil, I didn't expect that there were 7 great devils trapped here. Are they the great devils that were trapped here by Lord Fire Cloud? Or is there something else? Guopai couldn't help but say to himself. Guopai originally thought that the treasure of Lord Fire Cloud was hidden in a hidden place in the Fire Cloud Cave. When his spiritual sense reached in, his spiritual sense was injured by a powerful pressure. He only remembered that he saw 7 disgusting shadows in the end, and then he fainted. After staying on the island for more than 10 days, Guopai slowly broke through to the enlightened realm. He could take the medicinal pills that he had brought with him, and his injuries began to slowly recover. At this time, a big thing happened in Huaxia. Xinyuan Tingfei's second wife, Xue Xian, finally gave birth after being pregnant for 11 months. It was a 9-gene and 8 tails eldest son. However, he was sent to Bugyaku as soon as he was born. Xinyuan Tengfei had recently lost more than 10 gene due to anxiety. Third prince, there are no outsiders, so you don't have to pretend. Guopai is probably trapped by something. You should cultivate well in Bugyaku these days. I have already told the Xinyuan family that you have to stay here for the next few years. Yura looked at a 1-month-old baby and said with a smile. The baby seemed to be able to understand her words and chuckled. Chapter 440. In the Fire Cloud Cave, Guopao sat on the main seat while the little monkey stood on his shoulder. It was as if he was the king of a mountain. The 6 big fellows below the stage were lying on the ground obediently. Futaba, are these the helpers you found? Guopai couldn't help but shake his head. There were 2 tigers, a black bear, a gorilla, a leopard, and a one-eyed wolf. The little monkey excitedly squeaked and nodded. Guopai walked to the front of the 6 big guys. Apart from being a little bigger, there didn't seem to be anything special about them. Yes, if these guys were placed in a zoo, they would be able to bite all the animals of the same species to death. This is a headache. I originally wanted to find a few helpers of similar strength. Even if their strength was average, they could be like little Futaba. They could also lay down a big formation with a little bit of blood in their body. Now, it's a little difficult to make these 6 guys follow me and lay down a formation. Guopai said to himself. After staying on the island for 3 months, Guopai's strength had already recovered to the peak of the fasting period. With the help of the little monkey, he finally found the collection of the Fire Cloud Taoist before he ascended. However, the formation outside the collection room gave Guopai a headache. After more than 10 days of research, Guopai finally found a way to break the formation. However, he needed a few helpers to guard the formation core. In these few days, Guopai naturally knew that there were other spirit beasts on the island besides him and Futaba. He simply asked Futaba to find a few helpers, who knew that he would find these guys. I'll help you guys increase your strength first. I hope that you guys can help on the night of the full moon 7 days later. If you guys can really help this young master get the things in the treasure room, it's impossible to help you guys pass the transformation period. However, the benefits will definitely be great. Guopai said with a smile. It seemed that he would have to spend a lot of money recently. Big Tiger, don't worry. This time, it's not tiger meat. This time, I'm roasting dragon meat. If you don't eat it this time, I'm afraid you won't be able to eat it for the rest of your life. Guopai said loudly to the bigger tiger. Tiger 2, you ran in the wrong position just now. You should learn from Leopard 5. Your speed is too slow. Gorilla 4, what are you laughing at? Do you think you did well? Wolf 6, give Gorilla 4 a demonstration. You're in charge of supervising it today. Guopai spent an entire day communicating with a group of spirit beasts, and at the cost of 12 pills, he made them completely obey his arrangements. Not bad. At this rate, we might be able to open up the treasure room in 6 days' time, Guopai said smilingly. Sir, what's in the treasure room? Futaba scratched his head and asked. Cough, cough, cough. Futaba, were you the one who spoke just now? You haven't passed the transformation stage, but you can speak already? Guopai was shocked when he heard Futaba's words. He stared at the little monkey in front of him with wide eyes. I don't know. After following you for a few days, I felt a sharp pain in my head last night, and I can speak now. Futaba only just realized how bizarre it was when it spoke just now. Guopai didn't know much either. It was probably due to the bloodline of the six-eared macaque. Didn't the great sage sun jump out from a crack in a rock and speak? Speaking of the transformation stage, it seemed like the great sage didn't deliberately transform into a human. 3 days later, Guopai called for the 6 spirit beasts to set up a formation for the first time. Although it failed in the end, the process was very satisfactory to Guopai. As for the full moon in 3 days, Guopai was looking forward to it. Futaba, give these pills to them. Tell them the key points of the formation so that they can understand it well. If they can break the formation in 3 days, they will be rewarded. Guopai smiled and handed the 6 pills to Futaba. Since Futaba could speak, Guopai could communicate with the spirit beasts more easily. The little monkey took the pills and distributed them to the 6 big guys. Then it began to explain the subtleties of the formation to them. The 6 spirit beasts listened attentively. Guopai couldn't help but sigh. Sometimes, humans were inferior to beasts. Looking at the little monkey, he felt like a tiger in the mountains, but he was also the king. Guopai shook his head and smiled. On the night of the full moon, Guopai didn't let the 6 big guys continue to practice the formation during the day. At night, they were very energetic, especially Lang Lu. Perhaps because of the moonlight, a strange light appeared on Lang Lu's white fur. I forgot about this. Lang Lu, the moonlight today may awaken the hidden blood in your body. Although I don't know which witch's blood is in your body, if you can awaken it, then do it boldly. I will find a way to protect you in the formation. Guopai said softly. Lang Lu nodded its huge head. At midnight, the 6 spirit beasts stood in their respective positions. Futaba wasn't arranged to participate in the formation this time. It stood on the tallest tree and looked at the situation under the tree. Guopai shouted, set up the formation. The 6 spirit beasts surrounded Guopai, and the moonlight gradually gathered in the circle they formed. Guopai nodded slightly. The 7 days of effort hadn't been in vain. With the power of the moonlight, he could try to break the formation outside the treasure room. The 6 spirit beasts surrounded Guopai, and the moonlight covered their bodies. Guopai's fingers were constantly drawing all kinds of shapes in the air. Every time a shape was completed, the huge stone in front of the cave would move up a little. After about 2 hours, half of the stone had been moved, and Guopai could enter the gate. Lang Lu, don't suppress the awakening of your blood. Awaken it. This time, I will protect you even if I don't enter the treasure room. At the moment when Guopai was about to enter the treasure room, he suddenly felt a change in Lang Lu's body. One of his legs, which had stepped into the treasure room, was pulled out. Damn, Xiong-san, what's wrong with you? Could it be that the power of the moonlight has awakened the faint bloodline in your body? Guopai had just helped Lang Lu stabilize his mind when he felt the color of the large V on the chest of the nearly 3-meter-tall big fellow change. Roar! Xiong-san roared, and the two tigers beside him couldn't help but tremble. Endure it. It seems that true Lord Firecloud treated you guys well. Since you want to awaken, I will be a good person to the end. Huda, Hu Air, Xing Si, Bao Wu, the four of you should endure it. Although you don't have the ancient blood essence in your body, I will give each of you some. Let's see if you can create some miracles. As Guopai spoke, 4 silver needles appeared in his hand, and he directly pierced the 4 big fellows. Then, a small jade bottle floated in the air, and the contents of the jade bottle slowly flowed out, entering the bodies of the 4 big fellows through the silver needles. Roar! 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 The 4 big fellows' reactions were more intense than Lang Lu and Xiong-san. It was conceivable that Xiong-san and Lang Lu had inherited the bloodline. The 4 of them were forcibly injected into their bodies by Guopai. It was more difficult for them to awaken the bloodline than Xiong-san and Lang Lu. Futaba, don't watch the show. Enter the treasure room first. You have followed true Lord Firecloud for the longest time. You should be able to distinguish between good and bad things. Choose a few things that are suitable for me. Remember, safety first. As soon as Guopai's voice fell, a gap opened in the array, and the little monkey flew into the treasure room, seizing the power of the heavens to awaken the bloodline of spirit beasts. How exciting! You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.